restraint. Caught up in the games they play. High-speed chases gone awry. Serious turns into pie in the sky. Just out of jurisdiction. Laughter and a conviction. Beneath the badge and misguided fiction.
When I'm palmed, I was like, and he wasn't even really like an MP or nothing. He was like a security.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, what are you doing here? So this guy from Illinois, he was a real nerdy dude. And he comes in Class A. You know, first day he was like Class A. Well, he's wearing like an outer vest. You know, like Danville PD's got the outer vest stuff. But he was like, we're like, you don't have to wear Class A today, man. He said, it's in our contract. If we wear a uniform, we have to wear this outer vest. I said, you think we're going to rat on you? He said, well, they take pictures. We don't know. I was like, our union. I was like, yeah, I get it, man, but you're in BFE, Kentucky, man.
Just don't sign that photograph waiver.
Cameras over here.
They didn't have internet in Campbellsville at that point. No.
Not back then. That was the sick Danny Robinson. I told that story in there. He got me sick as a dog, though. Pooping and puking at the same time. But still the hardest. Like, you're cramming teaching, like, principles in
It's a 4-year teaching degree in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's and the speaking.
Because
the speaking didn't bother me. It was just the like lesson plans and the up all night and the.
my cousin, she was just finishing up college to be a teacher. I'm like, I got my teaching degree in 2 weeks. You know, why'd you go that 4-year plan? That's 2 weeks. You know, that's the way you go.
My first dare school, I had sublimity and I did cornerstone. And my daughter was in there, so I didn't read. I couldn't do it. So we started, me and Josh Gaylor and his boy, we started playing music. So we would do like, and Lisa would sing, and all we'd do was get up there and we'd go to Corinth, and that's where they did the dare graduation over there. So we had the dare band. We called ourselves. I was trying to. I mean, they probably don't remember it, but it was the. Uncivil servants.
Yes.
Yeah, you get all
they
kinds
didn't
of weird.
teach me how to handle this in dare school.
5th grade, you get all kinds of crazy, like.
Oh, I got
anyway. So
the dare box.
Oh, it's horrible.
We made raid after raid out of the dare box.
I'm telling you, like, my dad sells cocaine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
What are his prices?
Bless their hearts. But there at the end, I mean, it was just like, all right, you know, as the schools got more into like testing and stuff, they pushed me like 45 minutes, and then instead of 2 classes, like, can we combine these classes? I'm out. I just can't. It doesn't work. It's not effective if you don't. If
it's not made for the masses. Yeah.
And 30 kids is a lot.
Yes.
Anyway, but then you have 60, and you're like, this, I just can't.
They don't get to participate the way it's intended.
No. So it's the old dare school. I've heard one of the funniest things I've ever seen. We went to Dare conference later in Bowling Green. Oh my gosh! Here's the head of Dare out there mooning us on the golf course. Yeah, we probably.
There's consequences, you know. That was lesson 3. Consequences.
So don't go to the restroom while you're at a Dare conference either. You'll come back and you'll be the regional go-to guy signing all the paperwork. You're like, oh, by the way, congratulations. I sit down and Derek House was like, congrats, man. I was like, what? He's like, hey, you're the region guy down here on the Dare board.
Yes.
So I still get stuff from Dare America. I'm not taught Dare in 5-6 years.
Right.
I should have went to all them big conventions out there, so it's fun. But, all right, intro us, bro.
You ready?
I
got you again.
Tough.
All right, guys, we're back with you with another episode. We have finally got some firefighters in here. We've had a lot of wannabe firefighters, but now we've actually got some real ones in here, so that they can tell their story.
Heroes indeed.
You want to introduce them?
Now go ahead.
Okay.
Let's take a
We've got, you heard a lot about Fuzz. He's finally with us. He's after T-Dot figured out that he was calling the wrong number.
No, it wasn't the wrong number. He has taken me off his contacts.
Oh, he ghosted you.
He ghosted me or blocked me, and then got up with me on Facebook, and finally was like, "Just you got to text me because I if you call, it's blocking because I weed all those people out." I was going to
I'm tired of my car warranty being renewed so often.
And we've got Dylan Turner here with us. Both combined have, I don't know,
7,000 years and 1 year of experience, though.
Yes.
Of knowledge.
And Fuzz has done them both. He's been law enforcement and fire, and he finally fulfilled his dreams. All police officers have to finally become a firefighter.
Yes.
Dylan was the smart one and stayed away from police.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's fun stuff. So they both work. Y'all on the same shift now?
Yeah.
How's it?
Yeah, we're
same
at
rotation.
Station 2.
Station
both of
2.
us.
Yeah.
Big city of Danville.
Yeah.
My place I wish I was still at.
Yes.
Cry every night.
It's a good employer.
It's a good. They are. They really are. We talked about this last week. Probably, when I think about how I would have liked to set London up, when I was chief, it would have been like Tony and and them have set it up there as far as the police department, and the way they do they have city managers and that which works a whole lot better.
Yes,
it seems like
it's very efficient.
Yes, and really enjoyed my short stay up there. And you never know. I may be a firefighter up there.
Hey, come on in. The water's fine. Come on in.
You can go up there and be Daniel's Aaron.
I've always listen. My problem is I just want to go out and like check fire hydrants. Like I said, last time we saw each other,
You can't pee on them.
I could. I'd pee everywhere.
We know.
I'll get up here and walk out midway and go again. I don't know how I survived this last one. It was a 3-hour podcast, and I didn't get up. But when we were finished, my eyeballs were flooding.
I'd
I was
say
like,
so.
I got to go. So, we'll start with you, Dylan. How many years?
Oh gosh. I started as a volunteer in a little community in southern Hardin County, January 5th of 1997. So I started then. Then kind of bounced around the volunteer world, and then finally got my little break working at Pleasure Ridge Park Fire Department part-time. Worked there for a while, and then I met a beautiful woman at Thunder over Louisville, and she said, we should get married. You should move to London, Kentucky. And I was like, there's a town there? Because the only thing I knew of London was when you went to Gatlinburg, you hung a right by the dog patch. You just went on. I didn't know there was a town or anything. I just thought it was a few gas stations. That's it.
You're not wrong.
No, and I wasn't wrong.
And then you were introduced to the Chicken Festival.
And I
fell
went
in
to the
love.
Chicken Festival one time, and I looked around, and I was like, my life is not that bad. So, and I haven't been back since, and that was 13 years ago. Then I came over here, and I started on with London City Fire Department and got part-time in 2012. Yeah, 2012. I got hired in 2015. Worked until 2021. Is that
21?
Yeah. It's all together now.
London they didn't have a paid fire department for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been in the last 10 years or so.
About that. You had the daytime guys with Larry and Tony and Carl and Donnie. And I can't remember the guys before that. I know their faces, but I can't remember their names. They always had a daytime.
Donnie Links, he was one of the
Donnie
originals.
Links,
40-hour week, Monday through Friday.
They did mostly admin, right?
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah. It's
Truck
pretty much.
maintenance.
Did maintenance on the buildings and stuff.
And then just saw a little writing on the wall, and decided to go to Danville in 2021.
Danville's
Smart man.
Danville's a great, like we've said.
Yeah.
It's just an hour drive.
It's just
and
an
it's
hour
an
drive.
easy hour.
It's
That's not a bad commute at all.
It's so easy. that you find yourself sleeping across a dam.
Oh yeah.
Autopilot works great.
Yeah. I didn't want to, like, if I was driving my wife's car up there, it's got the, the lane assist stuff and keep me in there. But
You're up there driving by Braille.
The rumble strips come in handy.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't know how many cars, that little stretch, that's the only part that's tough because it's 4 lane, it's interstate, and then getting to, I guess, Stanford, then it turns back into 4 lane.
Mm-hmm.
But it's 2 lane, it's straight as an arrow. Mm-hmm. But when we was getting over there, when I had to get over there by 7:30-ish, traffic was, and it would get slow, and
Yeah.
you were like, I got to pass, and the best place to pass was right on top of that dam there on that lake.
You got great visibility.
That's really the only good place.
Yes. Yeah.
Past the church on the left,
Yeah,
and
it's
hit the
beautiful.
accelerator.
That's one of the prettiest places.
It's postcard perfect.
I drive up. I used to pull off if I had time. I'd pull up there and just look at it. It's actually prettier from the road though. But it's pretty up there. But it's just like, it's gorgeous there. You're like, oh my gosh, here's heaven right here.
That part of the
And
state,
Lincoln
really.
County.
I mean, Stanford and all that.
That is Lincoln County right there. Where that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lakes in Lincoln.
We were going up there for a class one day, cold days, and that lake had ice on it.
Yeah.
And it had a big chunk of ice, probably the size of this room, and right sitting on top of that chunk of ice was a bald eagle. And I mean, I was like, I'm late for class, but it didn't come out.
Start crying.
If there was a rainbow in the background, T-Dot be emotional right now.
I can't handle it. Can't handle that.
What's great about coming home is once in a blue moon, you find John Wright coming home, so you just get on his bumper and just follow him. Yeah, just ride it.
He just don't know you're back there.
No, he ain't got a clue. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is a good drive, a pretty drive, straight drive. So the worst part, to me, we would drive to Mount Vernon and park and switch over there.
Yeah.
Sit there in the wintertime waiting on your car to be frost. You're like, what a waste. But other than that, easy drive. So y'all drive there. You still live here in London and you drive up.
Yeah.
24 on, 48 off.
That's right.
Big.
That's a pretty good schedule. Not bad.
Yeah.
How many calls do y'all have? It's a bigger city.
3,000 runs a year, roughly.
We're doing more than Nicholasville. We're doing more than Richmond.
Comparison wise, I mean, I don't know. I know what our CAD numbers were, but as far as like London was.
So I think when I left London, we were doing about 800 calls, but now they've kind of changed some of the ways they operate. So I think they're pretty close to probably being on pace to over 2,000 this year. I mean, it's, yeah.
Can't get any sleep like that, boys.
No, you can't. You
Cuts into nap time.
That's right. You got to catch it
Soup
naps
on
when
Sunday.
you can. So.
How many stations are up there? I know
2 right now. I think they're going to talk this summer about building Station 3. And that's kind of what brought, I mean, I can speak for myself. I can't speak for others. That's what kind of drew me into that area where they realized that they needed to take some steps. So the city did a study on pay and how many stations and everything like that. So I think we need, 3 more stations? 2 more stations?
They're saying 4 for the population total.
4 for the total. Yeah.
For adequate response times and things.
Yeah.
Now, when I first went over there, I had no idea that Danville is probably twice the size.
Oh, yeah.
City population of London.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at that. Well, I think it's maybe 10,000 more. It's
Even with the college, when the college is in, it's really up there.
And the main street's beautiful with their, but it's not like super long or anything. Like you can walk it pretty easy. I used to walk from that coffee shop downtown all the way up to campus. To campus on it, and at Center, and it's like 10, 15 minutes really.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow. But it's the surrounding.
Yeah.
A lot of. I don't really consider Danville as a suburb of Lexington because it's got its own little thing. It's far enough away.
Yep.
It's not like Nicholasville or Winchester or something or Georgetown.
Yeah.
So it's kind of got its own thing going. And the cool thing about it, you can be in Lexington in an hour.
Yeah.
And Louisville in an hour and a half or less.
Yeah.
So it's pretty neat. where it's at, really in central Kentucky.
And it's just continuing to grow.
I mean, there's industry, there's
Yeah.
businesses
Yeah.
open up
Yeah.
constantly. It's definitely in a growing
So
phase.
the growth of the fire department. Then, what's the time frame of having 4 stations? Because that's a lot. It seems like. I mean,
I can see the 3rd station in the next couple of
got to
years.
be one going up by Walmart somewhere, or out towards that way.
It's going over towards the fairground,
The
the
old
old
fairgrounds.
fairgrounds, like over towards the Peddler's Mall and all of that. I mean, we make a lot of calls, but we're definitely understaffed, and sometimes that is the hardest thing, being understaffed, just not having that enough manpower to do the job. And the other thing is when we get a structure fire, used to everybody that worked for Danville pretty much lived in that little area. And I think, what is there, like 3 or 4 now? So when you ask for a second alarm, you're only getting like 4 guys,
Wow.
So, I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's a little rough.
That's the different part of it.
Yeah.
I guess your all's direct competition would probably be what, Lexington and Richmond,
So it's
Nicholasville.
Nicholasville. I mean,
yeah.
over all these
Yeah.
pretty good sized cities that pay pretty good.
Yeah.
So getting drawn.
And our last hire, he came from Berea. So I mean, Berea Fire lost him to us. It's
Right. So it's kind of picking.
I would say
and-
it's right there in that sweet spot though that keeps everything honest as far as pay and everything. You've got enough competition around to where
Yeah.
they've got
That
to keep
drives
and
Yeah,
that's
as
why
well.
they had to do the studies and stuff,
Right.
to not be a revolving door, a training ground
Yeah.
for other departments.
Yeah.
there's that competition, and pretty much nobody can beat Lexington. You're
Right.
just not going to compete
No.
with him. So now what Danville has to do is they have to compete with Nicholasville. They have to compete with Georgetown.
Yeah.
Richmond, I know, Wes went over there. It's a competition, but then you have, Winchester and all those, and it's a constant competition. Last 2 years ago, I saw Nicholasville's pay scale. And at that time, Danville paid more. And then it came out this summer. And now they've tried to beat Danville by about
Which is good for
5,000,
you guys.
Which is good for us.
Yeah,
so now
absolutely.
back to the drawing board all over again. So it's that constant competition with, those area departments. It really.
And like all first responders and police and fire, you're not getting it's harder to get. I don't know about fire. I know for police side of it, nobody's just really wanting to dive in and be that. So
And
you're getting
the application pool is a lot more shallow now than what it used to be. I mean, when I applied at Lexington, there were over 1,000 applicants
Right.
for 30 positions.
You're not going to believe this, Dylan, but I'm pretty sure I may have even thought about applying for Lexington Fire. But at the time, I think John Blanton was already there, and I saw him at like a paint store in town. Him and his dad.
He talked you out of it.
No, he was like, "You need to do it," and I was like, "Well, it's fire." I was kind of scared of that stuff.
It's hot.
It's hot. But I remember,
spray
but he
water
told
on
me, he's like, it was so competitive because they paid really well and they had the days that it's the cool stuff, and they were like, they may only take 30 out of these thousands that are there, and then you may not even get to the interview because they may go even in odds to just get
Yes.
narrowed
Yeah.
down to
That
something.
rule of fives
Yeah.
that they had.
Yeah, that was it. It was rule
Yeah.
of 5.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I don't know.
See, me and John, we went through the same academy class
Okay.
up there.
Man, you went to the academy with everybody.
Yes, I've been trained and trained.
Made a career of training.
Oh my gosh. What was the craziest fire that you've ever had to deal with, Dylan? Just the one that scared you or just freaked you out? Dumpster fire sounds like.
Yes.
No, after
him on the
you've
spot.
done this for so long, you sit there and think, well, that one wasn't bad, but, I'm trying to remember all these times. There's a couple that come to mind. Back one August Saturday, when I was still in Elizabethtown, a little town there called Glendale, we had a pallet factory catch on fire.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And it was just hot and miserable all day long. We had a Jif peanut butter fire.
I bet that smelled great for a while.
Yeah, for a while. And in Louisville. And when we got the call, we were like, peanut butter doesn't burn. But when you got there, it was the oil on top of that. Weavers, that definitely wasn't fun.
No.
I guess the one that here recently in the last umpteen years was the Reams Lane trailer fire with the kid.
Yeah.
That was a terrible situation altogether.
Yeah, that one wasn't fun. Just because conflicting reports, and then everybody in there searching on their hands and knees, face to the rug, kind of trying to find the child, and then in your mind thinking, well, maybe they all got out, and then come to find out where the child was. Those are all.
Those are the things that hurt.
Yeah,
that was one of those calls that police
that hurt
got to
everybody.
experience that as well, and
yes,
just as bad.
And then y'all were talking about Joey Robertson. When we first got hired, Larry would make us go up there to that pool and swim in the morning.
Yeah.
And it was like 10 degrees, and the county got called out for a structure fire. And they called us because they had limited manpower. So we went to the structure fire in swimming trunks, drenched in water. And every time we would try to take a step to go to that house fire, your body would fill up with ice just a little bit more. And I can't remember how hard it was, because it wasn't that the fire was bad. It was just I had wet swim trunks on, and it was 10 degrees, and I had no shirt on, no socks, none of that. So, I could probably think for hours on different fires that were difficult, but,
Were y'all doing that more as a rescue squad deal, the swimming quals, or was y'all just getting in shape up there? Because to me,
just PT,
cardio training.
So to me, I don't know if I'd have firefighters in water. The only water I want them is pointing at something.
Yes.
But I get it. It was hard work.
I think it was a little bit of PT and justifying why the rescue squad had a pool up there. Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah.
But it was. That's a good place to go. Go get your swim in.
Get your swim
Multiple
in.
agencies got to utilize that. So
Yes.
I don't remember the police department getting invited to go swim with you guys.
You weren't missing anything.
You all don't listen to the lifeguard. That's why. You think the rules don't apply.
So me and Fuzz go back probably, the beginning of my career, but I've known you probably a little bit before that. And it seems like, so you went to the police academy. We'll get all this stuff situated with one of our last guests, of course, Josh Gaylor, back in 97, 98.
The next to last 10-week class. It was class 268.
Okay.
So
did Josh get that right, or he
did. I was proud of him because he didn't take notes during class, so I'm surprised he remembered that.
Poor Danny Robinson. I did most of the heavy lifting for that. And then y'all, so you started out at the sheriff's office. As far as, there's probably other stuff you did before policing, I'm sure. You was probably fire.
1990 is when I got in the volunteer fire service, in August of 90, and that January of 91 went to EMT school, started working EMS here locally, worked there for about a year. R.C. Walker was willing to give me a job in corrections, so I worked corrections for about a year, and then Gene Holland in late 94 let me become a transporter and such with the sheriff's department part-time, and from there went into full-time at the SO, left the SO to go to Lexington Fire.
What year did you switch? So just a couple of years. Then.
So, it was 94 when I went part-time at the SO, went full-time about 95, and went to the academy because that was pre-pops. The academy wasn't required. So, I'd worked the road for several years before I got to go, and then when it come time to go, that was when Spanky was hired on, William, and he's like, well, he doesn't have any experience, so you're already working the road. He's going to the academy first. When he gets done with the academy, he can start working the road so that you can go. And so I went that next to last class, and I mean, PT back in that day, as long as you walked to the track, you got credit for PT. I mean, it was strenuous at times.
I think it was Gary
that's a
Prophet
law.
that was telling me that he said when he went through the academy PT, a lot of the guys were walking around the track doing PT, smoking a cigarette.
And so, I mean, you didn't even have to walk around the track.
Did
You
y'all-
could sit on the bleachers as long as you walked to the track.
Did you
know,
ever do your PT over on the old driving track?
there was an old driving track.
Yeah.
Because they had the new, model
yeah.
city or whatever,
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
the
over there.
railroad crossing and everything in there. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the old driving track. We do some traffic stops out there, especially
Skid pad.
like academy, like in-service class. We go out there
Yeah.
and do like practice
Yeah.
traffic stops and traffic stops revisited. That's
Yes.
when Danny lit me up. She tried to like shot me in the hand. I'm like, dude, I was just getting out of the car, buddy. Nah, they had him all amped up. I was like, but I did have. I'm left-handed, but I had the simulator, the
Semination gun,
gun in my right hand. So when he saw this hand came out, there's no way he saw that. He just was going to shoot me. It didn't matter. I was like, golly, them little paintballs.
better
No,
safe
they
than
hurt.
sorry.
That is
It's-
some of the most fun training, though.
I learned
yeah.
real quick to wear gloves on that stuff.
Yes.
And I was like, it was like 3 years. I was like, I had a knot on my. I was like, you're crazy.
you shoot the threat that you see, and I
Yeah.
mean that hand was the threat that he saw.
He was not going to let me get out of there.
When we went through rapid deployment, Bert got the short straw on being the hostage taker. He spent like 4 hours getting shot in the back of the head and face.
It happens. So you spent some time at the sheriff's office, Lexington Fire. How long was you?
Started September 11th of 2000. So my 1 year anniversary was September 11,
man.
2001.
How was that? Like, did y'all have to?
I mean, I was off shift that day. Was actually at a class in hazard over meth lab awareness because meth labs were just becoming cool back then. And so when it all started, class got canceled and we tried to rush back because they were talking about possibly landing regional jets in London because Lexington couldn't hold them all. I mean, they were just putting every plane on the ground. So they ended up not landing any in London. Lexington was able to
I
accommodate
remember
them.
I wasn't policing yet. I was still I was working for FedEx ground or home delivery at the time. I was in the National Guard. I was listening to like the radio when all this was going on. Like I was listening to like Bob and Tom or something
Yeah.
when all was going on. And you're hearing all this stuff, and first thing I did, I was full of packages, and that I drove straight to and I was in the National Guard. I drove straight to the National Guards, like, we're at war. Where do I go? And they were like, go home. I was like, but I'm ready to go right now. And then when it was time to go, I was like, I don't really want to go.
It's that frontline attitude, right?
Yeah. I was ready. But then I was like, this might not be the rest. I was a little rash.
This will make you feel young. I was in 6th grade.
Man. Good Lord.
So yeah, I worked Lexington Fire then up until 03. And when I left Lexington Fire, I went to Bluegrass Airport as a public safety officer for a $10,000 a year pay raise because that was before the union had their bargaining rights and stuff in Lexington.
Yeah.
Worked there till 05. Had an opportunity to get hired with KVE here in London, so took that job and worked KVE until KSP absorbed us, merged, took us over, whatever.
Hostile takeover.
Hostile takeover.
I would say that's
I'll
probably
say
a hostile
it.
So-
takeover. Yeah.
You don't have to say it. I'll say it. It was.
There was some hurt feelings,
remember-
I think,
Oh, yeah.
over that.
You remember I was working interdiction a lot with you guys down there at
Yeah.
the scales, and I came very close. That captain almost had me convinced just to come on board, which would have been
Yeah.
a great job at the time, and may still be. And I don't know.
It was the best law enforcement job
Oh,
that
my
I've
gosh.
ever had. I mean,
It could have been, and because I was down there working interdiction, and we just sat there, And then all the the inspectors would pull over a truck, and I'd be like, I may go out there and look at that,
Yeah.
but I'm not allowed to get in.
Yeah.
Oh, I am.
Yeah, that Constitution don't matter when it's commercial
That's
vehicles.
exactly right. We hung out down there more than how the interdiction team sit on the side
Oh,
of the
yeah.
road. The place to go was scale because we were looking for.
You're not going to get run over there.
Yeah, I
Right?
know. That was scary. Thousands of pounds what we was
Mm-hmm.
looking for because somebody gets something out in Western Kentucky. You're like, it's in every big truck going
Yeah.
by. There's
Yeah.
1,000 pounds of
You go to that
cocaine
desert
or
snow
something.
class, and you're
I
like, oh
went-
my God, I've let the cartel
Yeah.
survive for years.
Oh, desert snow. Did you go to some of them?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they were good classes.
So-
Gosh, it'd get your hopes up. Joe David, that owner, sat out there out in the land of milk and honey, where there's on I-15 or
Yes.
whatever. There wasn't nothing going by but dope
Yeah.
out of Tijuana. Or
That's
something.
right. I mean, it's
just like shooting fish.
yeah,
We thought that was what's going to be on I-75.
it's everywhere.
It's in every truck going by.
So then, 2016, I started work with the Fire Commission as area coordinator up in Hazard.
Did you write all this down?
Oh, it's burned in there. I'm telling you, I can remember the history good. I just can't remember
What
what
you
I'm
did.
supposed to do tomorrow.
Long-term memory. Yeah, it's the short-term that gets it.
Oh my gosh! How long did you work there?
Until 21, and
Then
that's
went
when I
back
went
to
to Danville.
Man, do you remember when me and Doug went by you in that car chase?
Oh yeah.
I swear you threw your papers everywhere. That's what I'm telling.
Well,
You may have gave them back to that guy.
I told that driver, I said, "This is your lucky day, brother. Here's your paperwork." And I threw it at him, and I jumped in the vehicle to join in the pursuit because I was
You
not
got-
going to let the pursuit pass me.
What we didn't tell in that story was the amount of. I did say we were at a pipeline, a lot of firefighters there.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of firefighters in that car chase. I just won't dime them out. It might have been you. Could have been Dylan. I don't know. But there was like, I don't know. Should we say something? I think you might have caught back up with us, but it was a wild one for sure. Did you go all the way to where it ended?
Up in Rock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Me and Doug, I was trying my best to talk him. I was like, "We're good. Let's just pull off here." Pull off.
He wouldn't go after that. was he?
That was the thing about Greg Howard, the commissioner of
Yeah.
vehicle enforcement. He's like, if you're chasing them, don't stop until you catch them.
That's awesome.
And I mean, I've chased into Tennessee, multi counties. I mean, once the chase was on, you run out of gas or you caught them.
Yeah, that was fun. It's different, and I'm sure it's different now with them
Oh,
guys.
yeah, I mean, that's-
everything changes.
Different world of policing then.
So what
Yeah.
about? Let's see here. Where do you want to go? You want to go with some academy stuff, or where did you go, Dylan? Where'd you go to, like fire academy? Is that
So I didn't have to go to a fire academy.
really?
Yeah.
You got grandfathered in?
Yeah, I did and I didn't. The fire commission has an academy now.
Yeah.
It's actually been open. How long? I mean, it's been open
3 years, I guess. Yeah.
3 years. But before that, they had like a week-long class. And when we got hired, Troy Rudder, the mayor, wanted us to go out there and spend like a week, which is a great idea, except the day that we left was February 14th of 2015. And on February 14th, it was a Sunday day, and we had to be there on Monday. And we got 6 or 8 inches of snow in Danville and across Kentucky that day. So it was me, Brandon Wagers, Joey Robertson, and Austin Hale. And we met up at London Fire Department.
What a crew.
Yeah. And it was 8 inches, 6 to 8 inches of snow on the ground. And we used the Tahoe. And Larry, I'll never will forget, Larry said, if you wreck it between here and there, just don't even come back.
Yeah.
So
It's encouraging.
yeah, the 4-hour trip to Eastern Kentucky was an 8-hour trip, going 25 miles an hour. We had a candlelight Valentine dinner at Tumbleweed and Bowling Green, and we finally,
out west.
yeah, And
Is that where the National Guard
yeah, same place.
place out there?
Yeah.
I've been out there.
Yeah, when you check into the gate, it's right across the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
They got a pretty good chow hall over there.
Oh yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, well, there's really nothing else to eat out there, so it's like it's
Exactly.
great. It's wonderful.
What's that town called? I can't remember. We call it Wiffertick was what the base was called. It's Western Kentucky.
Yeah,
something.
it's like
Training.
WHITEC. Something like that.
remember.
Yeah.
We went out there.
It's got a Hampton Inn there.
Yes,
because that's
very
where I would always stay
Yeah.
when we go evaluate IFSAC skills and such.
I got you.
But we went out there for a week and did some classes that I kind of got grandfathered into that I never had to do, and then we came back. But when I got started, the fire commission, Fuzz was a coordinator, and kind of under Fuzz, you got little instructors and stuff like that who are part-time employees. There's one here in London, and that's who I work for. So you go out to all these different volunteer departments or different places and teach classes, and that's how I got certified, driving to different departments and stuff like that, just getting my hours that I had to have. So, by the time I made it to London, I think I needed like one or two other classes to get that career hours where you get that hazardous duty. And, that's how that was my academy, was driving to different departments and stuff like that in the volunteer world. So I never really had to go to an academy. I don't know what academy life is like. I've heard it's fun.
So,
Can be. It's parts of it.
It wasn't when I made it there.
see, when I went to the academy, though, I got elected in as one of the co-class leaders. Me and Murray, he ended up being a captain with KSP and stuff, but he was with a city department at that time, and so me and him were the co-class leaders that oversaw and such. And Greg Howard was over the academy then before he went to KVE, and he had left Lexington PD to come there, and so the academy life, I mean, it was all right. I'd been policing for several years when I went, so it was kind of,
Secondhand nature.
it was a refresher, in a way. Oh, a JC3, okay. So,
Oh yeah, this is all the stuff I'd forgot already.
yeah, so,
Stuff I was supposed to be.
yeah, so, and the guys from London PD and me went, and so I mean the sheriff had kind of gave me a pep talk before we left. Fuzz, be on your best behavior and such, and it seemed like they were just drawing complaint week after week, and so they were getting Friday they'd have to go to the PD and visit with Jim Young every time they come back, and I'd go home, and so about 4 weeks in, the sheriff tells me to come by the office on Friday. He's like, Fuzz, I just want to brag on you. I've not had any complaints on you, but yet the city's getting hammered, I'm like, so
Just better than I did.
You were just a little smarter.
Yeah,
than
by the time we got up there, all the fun had been sucked out of it because you guys have been up there and made so many policies.
Yeah,
Wasn't my fault.
my roommate, I mean, he was top notch. I mean, he slept beside the doors when they do the room check. He'd crack the door open.
So it was true you weren't there.
They'd say Reams and Raleigh. He'd say, yep. And they close the door, So
They didn't come in and stick PBTs in your faces.
no.
He didn't Blue Falcon you.
And there was a 10:30 curfew.
Yeah.
So I mean, you had your little key cards.
Key
So, I
card,
mean,
yeah.
they could see when you come in and out. So there was a maintenance card that was available that you could use it to come in and out after 10:30, and it looked like the maintenance guy was coming in and out. So. There's ways around the key cards, I guess, so I hear. I mean,
Allegedly.
yeah.
Y'all stayed over there on campus, though.
Yeah, we stayed in the dorm on campus, so
Did y'all just pile up and drive across to the academy?
there'd be a carpool,
'Cause that's a whole-
convoy going to the academy. Then
them guys, them dang parking enforcement at EKU,
Oh yeah, you didn't
They're the
park in the
worst.
no parking, or you.
they will.
Yeah,
they
they'd
will write
ticket
you.
the official tag. It's
Yeah, they did not. They are jerks. It's like
They'd kind of alleviated that when we got
Not
there. We
us,
had our
yeah.
own parking lot and everything by then.
but
by
you
that
had to
time.
have them stickers in. I don't know. Did y'all check your weapons in like over at the shooting range
yeah,
or
it's
at the armory they had?
right.
Well, yeah, we were supposed to.
Yeah.
If you got there a little later.
If you didn't keep them in the trunk of your car, that's where you check.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, one day when I got
Andy Ferguson was one checking our firearms. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's a good. I'm going up there. I tried to call him. You let him know I've reached out. So
I'll let him know.
because he's ducking me now. He's got me blocked. He don't even have my number programmed. I think he just contacted me by email. So we'll
Right.
see. But he said, I don't know if he was checking his. I'm sure he was, because all them guys over at Skills, and he was a firearm instructor, and I'm sure it's him checking us in. But when I almost got deployed again, I missed those couple days. My class coordinator, Saltzman, he was like, you need to go over and check your gun. I was like, where? He said, the armory's closed, man. You have to do that on Sunday. I had to take mine over to EKU PD
And check it.
and check it in. I'm like, they told me to bring this to you.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get it back.
It always amazed me that they wanted you. You're driving around in a marked unit.
But they wanted you unarmed.
We don't want you
yeah.
unarmed.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I left it there over that weekend when I came home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, yeah. Okay. So I had to go over to EKU PD, get my gun, and then check it in the armory.
When you went back on Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, we
It was awful.
yeah.
I
We
left-
left ours there. Fridays and Mondays was the only days that we checked ours in and out. Left them there for the. Just kept our our off duty in the car. Because we called Derek. He was like, do you know what they want us to do? And he's like, yeah, it's stupid. Just keep it.
I was scared to death not to check them. Honestly, I was like, this is going to be.
The shakedown.
Yeah.
They were already after us anyway. Class 324. They had our number.
They do.
It was because of Danny. I guarantee you. But we had it was fun. You know, the police academy is fun. And sometimes I look back at, and that was 2002, 2003. Sometimes I feel like it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's weird. How you're like, that was just, and now you're like, man, that's been 23 years or 22 years ago.
Well,
I'm like, man.
The guy that sat beside me in the academy, Rodney Richardson, he's chief of Richmond PD now.
Oh, really?
And he was there as a Richmond PD officer,
yeah.
which he
Recruit,
lived
yeah.
in Richmond, so he didn't live in the dorm. He got to stay at home.
That's bullcrap.
And
They should have made him live.
Well, I mean, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. The way I saw it.
Exactly.
So,
Like, I only live 45 minutes
I
away.
mean, and I got a gas card. So, but yeah,
That's funny.
It was a good time. You network across the state.
Yeah.
I mean,
some of them got, you're like, oh, I wonder how this guy's doing, and when I went to the Chiefs little introduction to new Chiefs thing, and,
yes,
and made good friends with some of them I knew from, like, I saw one guy from the academy there. I saw another guy from Sergeant's Academy there, and from West Burt, I don't know,
Yep.
up somewhere in Louisville. I was like, it's not even real town, is it? He's like, it's like this little subdivision, just pretty close to Churchill Downs. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to go there, man.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I need a night shift sergeant right now. I said, man, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll just stay right where I'm at. But the guys out in Western Kentucky that, when I left, they're like, hey, come over.
Mm-hmm.
Come on out. I was like, I'm pretty sure y'all have way too many tornadoes out there. I'm pretty good out here.
Yeah.
But I appreciated them guys doing that stuff.
Yeah, those are flatlands out there. It messes with your mind and
It's
everything
like,
like that.
I don't know what to do with it.
Just sitting here thinking, how many police departments, because I know fire departments for the most part, how many police departments across the state have their own academy? Besides, like, I know Louisville and KSP.
Louisville, Lexington.
They just started
Bowling
a Western Kentucky DOCJT.
Really?
Bowling Green started one.
Oh, okay.
That's been probably.
Because it was such a drive for all the Western agencies to do it.
Have they opened the one out west?
Yeah, they're running their first class right now.
What's that? Maysfield or somewhere like where the tornado hit
Yeah.
and a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I think it's right there. So they're doing a Western Kentucky one. Bowling Green has one, but it's just for Bowling Green PD guys, and which surprises me. But that's a pretty good size. I don't know how many officers they got, but
And then you got Louisville Metro,
Lexington, and then the.
And then if you transfer, like if one of us was to transfer from here to Louisville or Lexington, they still make you go through a 2 week.
Yeah.
a 2-week course to.
Is that it?
Like a lateral.
A lateral course.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, you still got to do your little pops and shoot.
So I was in
so.
class with guys from Hopkinsville.
Yeah.
I was in class from Northern Kentucky, from Sturgis.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
been to Sturgis. Yeah,
I didn't. I only thought Sturgis was in North Dakota.
Yeah,
I didn't even know there was one in Kentucky.
you're not missing anything. Yeah, not at all.
Well, one
They
of the
had
guys
those
in our
little
academy
Sturgis.
class, he was from Hopkinsville, but he's a former Navy SEAL, according to him. Didn't portray that image, but that was
He
his
was telling
story.
Was he
Yeah.
more like a gravy seal?
And so, and he's
Mil
like,
Team 6?
I don't want my name on this academy shirt because I don't want a bunch of rednecks in eastern Kentucky to see that and come and try to hurt me or my family or whatever. And I'm like, well, I don't know how y'all do it out west in the flatlands. I said, but in the hills, I mean, we actually get in vehicles that say sheriff on the side of them and police and such. I mean, that's,
We're good with this.
Yeah, you're pretty well targeted if you're gonna be targeted, yeah.
When we get out of the car, they kind of know who we are. And so on because I was over the T-shirt there, so instead of his name, we put top secret.
That's funny.
And so
That's
Well, I had a
That's-
guy, same dude, or same deal from Hoptown. I think he was with, I don't know, Delta or something. I don't know. But he was like, I don't know, guys. I don't know about that, having my names on that stuff. I was like, you hop. So obviously,
it's
Hopkins.
it's got to be a community
Hoptown there.
vibe or something there.
They're all special
Yes.
forces.
Yes.
It's something.
I feel safer already. I mean,
But I mean, they might as well be in Tennessee over there in that area.
Yeah.
So it's I remember, gosh, some of the academy guys. There was this older guy, and he failed out on, and he was not from Hopkinsville, but one of the towns right outside the Fort Campbell Gate right there. So it was real close to that, but whatever little town that is right there. And he was a great dude, man. Him and Greg Turner used to go on smoke breaks together every hour on the hour. Let's go smoke.
Yeah.
Buy me a pop. He will not come on this podcast for some reason.
He won't.
But anyway, great dude. And we go to skills, and there's two parts of that. You had to do the use of force continuum by, know it. You had to write it down on the pyramid, right?
yeah.
Well, the pyramid, most pyramids go this way, but he
Inverted.
just inverted it,
Yeah.
and he had it perfectly right. He just had it flipped over, and that was a fail. And then he goes into the practical stuff of cuffing or something, and I thought I did great. And he's like, retest him on this. Well, that instructor had no idea that he had also just failed that use of force, inverted it.
Yeah.
We're in last week, and they kicked him out.
Oh.
We had like 2 days left. I was like, jerks, man. I mean, I was like, he did well the whole academy
Yeah.
class. Great guy.
And bang, bang, he's done.
I was like, wow.
That may have
Cold
been-
hearted.
That may have been a blessing in disguise.
For
Yeah.
him, yeah.
Yeah.
He was, but he would have been a good officer. But it's just one of them deals, man. I don't know if he got to come back. Could you imagine, though, going through, we were 16 weeks, so sorry. But 16 weeks, you're in your 16th week, and you're out.
You're unemployed.
That's
Yep.
crazy.
I mean, that was highly likely for me at 16 weeks. That we could have been.
Man,
We had 23.
10 weeks was forever, okay? I'm just telling you.
23 was a long time. And what made it worse is 23 wouldn't have been that bad straight through, but we caught it at the right time to where we had the 2-week break for Christmas and then a week off for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So it was 3 weeks of just extending my life.
Yes.
Of it. It's like I just want to get out
When I
and
went
get on
to
the
the-
road.
Through the holidays.
Yeah, and be
So-
done with this.
so I'd been to when I went to the academy, I just came home from Belgium on our, front line.
Front line, dude.
Fighting the Moroccans or whatever they were.
Damn Moroccans. So I've been gone for, we was almost gone a year, and been home like a couple months before I started the academy. So I mean, I was we'd been married a couple of years, and I was like, so we've been married now for 26 6 years, but really just 25 because it was a full year. I never even saw it. Really.
You were non-existent.
I was. Yeah.
She was wife and title only.
It's tough but we made it a habit. She would come up on Wednesdays up to Richmond because I was so scared to go home.
Wasn't that bad?
I didn't know.
You gotta get a maintenance card.
Yeah, you need to make this card.
Yeah, messed up a lot. I didn't do the academy right. But they had, I was like, it was, yeah, I was scared to death to getting called. I was like, I don't know. They had us worried. Which they were calling in on us a lot, too.
But see, Runner would come to me and go, hey, so-and-so, you probably need to go talk to them. Because they're getting ready to get checked, you know what I mean? So he was a good liaison.
Yeah, gotta have
I
him.
liked Runner. He was a good guy, for sure.
Man, I wonder.
I think he retired during our class.
Finally?
Yeah, finally. He finally retired.
So, Lexington.
Did you have to go?
Lexington Fire had an academy.
So how was that? It's long one, isn't it?
It is, and when I got hired at Lexington, I was already a level 2 firefighter, and had EMT, all that. So for EMT, you just had to sit through the lectures and didn't have to test. Well, me and a few other guys actually drew training incentive because we were already certified firefighters when we got hired. I was teaching for the state as a state instructor even.
Wow.
And so we were getting that incentive check. And one of the guys that sat beside me, we got our checks, and mine's more than his because the incentive's tagged on it, but he didn't know that. He was, brand new to the fire service. So I'm like, check this out, Cecil. He's like, what are you getting paid more than me for? I said, I guess they're paying for the quality. I don't know. And so he didn't like it.
No,
But
didn't understand.
Yeah, but going through the academy, and then the entire Lexington Fire Department was going through survival and rescue as when that class first came out for the state of Kentucky, and they had state fire come in and teach it. Well, I was one of the instructors that taught that class. And so the instructors are like, listen, Reams, you can't wear your orange helmet for this class. You're going to have to wear your state helmet. And I'm like, okay, this is not uniform, but all right. And they said, because an orange helmet can't teach firefighters what's going on. So
You don't qualify for
you're,
that.
so,
Not in orange.
So I had to change the
I'm glad
hat.
that there's always an orange aspect to something. We had orange guns, and they've got orange helmets.
But orange helmets, you were the probie. That's you were the new guy.
You're like, hang on a second. Well, you're sitting back at first, and you're like,
Yeah.
put the other one on. All right, guys, I got something to. Let me teach you all how to really do this now. All right, recruit, go ahead.
Lee Cruz came out and did an interview that morning with us. And so I was doing the window bailout. And he's sitting there talking about it. And he's like, I can see where this would be effective, if you're at your girlfriend's house and her husband comes home, you're needing to get out the window quick. I'm like, great, this is.
That's Lee, though.
So,
Is he still on? Has he still got a show on? Oh, no.
Lee and Haley.
Yeah, Lee and Haley,
That's
yeah.
So,
That's funny. He was funny. Guys. So you went, some crazy stuff. I know it's got to be wild up there, but y'all had so many precincts and stuff.
we had 21 stations while I was there. And I was riding the buggy one day, and we get sent to a domestic at one of the little roach motels. And we come pulling up. We get out of the ambulance, and this girl that was into drug activity and into prostitution, we go walking in the room, and this girl looks up and goes, "Hey, Fuzz." And I'm like, what? Who is this?
It's like walking with Richie Riddles at a chicken fest.
Yeah.
Hey, Richie. Hey, girl.
So come to find out, she was originally from East Bernstadt.
Oh, no.
And I'd arrested her for prostitution down at the truck stop in Corbin before when I was before my Lexington Fire days, but she recognized me.
Oh, my gosh.
So the other guys on the boat, you're like, so how many prostitutes up here in Lexington do you know? You know, it's like, I didn't know I knew that one until
It would be easier to count the ones I don't.
But, you know, it's hard to be cool when they call you by your nickname as you walk in the door.
Speaking of that, Eddie, we got to tell them. Eddie, he knew him down there at the.
Oh yeah, he was the original prostitute police. So
He was vice.
yes, he was the vice squad.
He was. He brought me down there. Well, I was on Derek's squad. I don't know if he was working at. You had. Well, I know you've been there when he's pulled these antics, but
Yes,
so it could have been any deputy. It could have been. It could have happened to any officer. You just didn't know.
right.
Hollers up to the PD, and we was all just sitting around. Derek hollered up, said, "Hey, Derek, y'all come down to the sheriff's office. We don't know what we got.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't really listen to what they had down at in
No.
Corbin down at the pilot." And he's like, "Hey, come in, sit down. Close your eyes, guys. Close your eyes." Oh, we're like, what? We think he's going to surprise us with like some food or. No, man. This girl comes out. I open my eyes up. And there she is, topless. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Derek's over there, like, "What are you going to?" Well, I was like, I just ran out. I was like, "Get me in trouble." This podcast is still going to get me in trouble with that. Eddie's still getting me. But man, he could get him, man. I don't know if he just listened to him. I don't know. He was the vice guy.
Well, shoot, that's 98, the year I went to the academy. I arrested 42 that year.
Oh my gosh!
So, and that was in full uniform in a marked car. I mean, it wasn't
didn't care.
undercover, nothing.
Y'all just listen on the CB?
Just listen on the CB, and I would park and kind of walk back in the safe haven area and stand in the edge of the parking lot and watch the girls go truck to truck. Mm-hmm. And you could sit there and listen to them on the little handheld CB. And whenever they'd make a couple, 3 stops, then go beat on the door and bring her out, and she'd have her money stuffed in her sock because that was the only part of her costume she didn't take off. And so,
it's awful.
But the one you're talking about that was willing to put on the escapades or whatever.
Yeah, it was just a rite. I don't know why. I was a really new officer. It was just like, we're going to get him. It's like dragging.
Yes.
It was like dragging possums or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like, Eddie's going to get you good with this.
Yes, he would with his working girls. Well, I arrested the same girl one night, and she's like, "Where's Officer Eddie?" I said, "Officer Eddie's working day shift now because he wouldn't arrest you women, and that's why I'm working night shift."
Oh, gosh.
I had Mark Parks riding with me. And so I had the screen opened up, but she kept reaching up and playing with his ear and stuff, And I mean, he was so uncomfortable.
He was ready to jump out.
Yeah, he was ready to walk back to London from Corbin. So because she was just messing with him the whole way.
Oh my gosh!
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
He'll get you in the. Like, oh my gosh! What you remember when he about cut his hand off, or it's jabbed that knife in his hand? That's the first time I drove a police car.
Is that right?
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure I'd drive it up to the hospital because
he wasn't able to.
No, he was at his grandkids are my niece and nephew. He was up there at a birthday party. My dad was like, "Well, he had a new case knife and he was trying to open up a present." Dad's like, "That's a pretty sharp knife for my grandpa's." He stuck it right here, deep right there.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Goes right in through the tendons.
He was like, "Oh my gosh!" So yeah, that's the first time I drove a sheriff's office. The only time I think I've ever drove a sheriff's SO car.
Yeah.
I was driving it because he's had to drive my car up to the hospital.
Bring it up there so I can get back home.
Oh man, it was awful. It was awful. I was like, "What's going on?" It was good. I miss that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was something.
He was definitely entertaining.
He's a legend. He really is. So you had. Now you went from there to the airport.
I worked me and John Blanton were working together at the SO.
Yeah.
And then he applied for Lexington Fire, and I'm like, that's a
Happens to all of us.
pretty good salary there. I believe I'll try that too. So,
Yeah.
And John, he always, when we would work together, he would always say, "Fuzz, you're killing me." I mean, I can't count the times that he's went home early because his blood pressure was high due to my antics with him, So
That checks out. I can see it, yeah.
and so he would tell everybody, he'd say, "I got a bullet with Fuzz's name on it." It's just for him.
Hey, I saw him at a basketball game. I was going up there I thought about. My brothers called the basketball games on the radio and stuff, and he was up there. He's part of that Hardwood Club or something at South High, and he was like, I said, "Hey, you ready to come on the podcast, man?" He's, typical John. I guess. I don't know. What are you going to ask me? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask any of them about it. It's coming.
It's coming.
They're coming on, but they just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
Well, he was notorious for sitting at dispatch on second shift, and so if we went on a domestic, if one of us was off, we'd have to take a city unit with us out in the county. We'd have sergeants. Supervision was supervise yourself. And so,
Be good.
back in the good old days, But I yelled at Chris Edwards, and I'm like, can 11, 18 have authority to back me up on this call out in the county? And he was like, yeah, because we shared the same frequency and stuff then. Well, that pushed John's buttons again, and so he shows up. The man and woman, they'd been fighting. I pull in, John pulls in right behind me. They're out in the yard, so they kind of split up a little bit. Well, John gets out of the car and starts pointing at me, coming at me, going, "Fuzz, I'm going to kill you if you ever do that again on the radio." So here this man and woman, they're like, "Man, these two guys got issues. Somebody's going to have to break them up."
We're trying to have our own domestic.
We're trying to have our own fight. They're still there thunder.
Calm down, guys.
It's okay. We can work through this. So,
Honey, it's not that bad. Look at these two. We can work it out.
I never thought about that, but that tactic might work.
I mean, it caught them off guard. I mean, so John tells everybody he was trying to go to Lexington to get away from me for his health, and then I got hired and went with him. So he didn't escape.
He finished up there. He retired.
Yep.
I guess I don't know how many years he did up there. We'll have to ask him. He's coming on.
Okay.
We're going to have him.
Yeah.
On. I'm sure he's got some great Fuzz stories too.
See if you can't get like a call in by that time, so you can call in and ask him different questions and all that.
We'll do a call. We can do a call in.
Do a call in.
I might sit him down, call you,
Yeah, we can do it on speaker.
and just watch him.
Watch the blood pressure rise. Maybe we'll have EMS standing by.
That'd be our day. We'll have them here with us. So.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Lexington Fire. So you rode a buggy a lot?
Actually, I probably rode a buggy a handful of times, especially for a new guy. I got to be in charge of the hose warehouse, so whenever they ask for volunteers to go to paramedic school,
That sounds kinky.
who's in charge of the hose?
Is that an alternative lifestyle?
Diversity. That's
Yes.
diversity.
Yeah.
Come out with some cocaine.
Fuzzy.
Big feather in my hat, my orange helmet.
That orange helmet had a feather or two. Call me Gator.
But yeah, they're like, okay, we need volunteers to go to paramedic school. Well, John, he volunteered, and my submate there, Cecil, he volunteered. And I'm like, I'm really booked with this keeping the hose repaired and everything. I ain't got time for all that paramedic stuff.
I got a tight schedule.
Yeah, I'm booked. So I dodged paramedic school while I was at Lexington. You know, that's,
They seen a lot of them. About everybody had to go, didn't they?
yeah, and they had a chief there for a while that everybody was going to go. You know, and I'm like, that's too close to being a doctor for me.
Yeah.
So,
You go to paramedic?
No. But I was going to say, I was up there teaching a class, I guess, early last year, and talked to one of the chiefs, and it's like, we strongly urge, and then when we don't get that, then we voluntold people that they're going to go to paramedic school.
Do you feel like that's beneficial to have fire EMS, or should it strictly be fire and then EMS be either an add-on or a separate entity?
If Danville did that, we would be 6-7 fire calls a week. I mean, we wouldn't have anything. And see, that's what London's doing to get those numbers up. Mm-hmm. You got to show commissioners and council members, hey, we're busy and we're doing all that.
it's a good way to get quick response. I mean, as far as care.
They're a lot faster.
Yeah. I mean, it's because
from an outside standpoint, I'm like, if you can get somebody that can save my life faster, then get them there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, EMS may be coming from the other side of the county. I mean, they're not always at the station.
Exactly.
And, so, I mean, for the city, you've already got that service in play. And more departments across the nation are doing fire EMS, In Danville, we do fire and first responder EMS. We don't transport in an ambulance, but we stabilize till the EMS gets there and transports. And I mean, I can see where it's justified. It's a good use of resources, because if it was just strictly fire, I mean, 80% of our runs right now of the 3,000 are EMS.
It would be boring.
It would be a nightmare to survive 24 hours of thumb twiddling.
And you take a state like Florida. Florida is like 95% of the departments are firefighter paramedics. Yeah. I mean, it's huge. And
a lot older population there too. So you got a lot more medical, serious medical conditions.
And hats off to the Danville guys. I mean, if it's something serious, like a code, something like that, a lot of times the Danville PD is beating us there and starting CPR and different things like that before we get there. So it's great. Those guys are great to work with. I will definitely say they are.
We had a pretty solid relationship there at one time between PD and fire department, or law enforcement fire department, and then something happened. It became a pissing match, and then we got back in good graces again. I don't know what the deal was, but that was always, you see that on TV and all that, all that stuff, the pranks and stuff going on back and forth, and that was always fun.
Richie's the most fun to prank.
Richie always, he would bash you guys, but yet he'd be the one down there hiding his cruiser inside the fire department. That. It was just a big. Just a big show for him.
Why does somebody become a police officer? Because they can't pass the firefighter exam.
That's right. I agree.
So, that's what made Joy bitter. I mean, that's
I will say that wholeheartedly, I believe that the fire department POP standard is a lot more difficult than police.
I was down there. I was like, I'm gonna get on that stair climber. I was like, I did it. I did the 3 minutes.
Ain't forever
until you put 80 pounds on your back, brother.
Yeah.
And I got off that thing, and I was like, it's going to take me about a year to get that. I mean,
you need to feel it.
That pace picks up pretty good, and you're like, okay, I'm all right.
Yeah.
And then, hey, put this weight vest on.
By the way,
and then you jump off that. You got the wobble.
You got your sea legs.
Whatever you got to go. I'm like, I think I'm just going to go take a nap.
I'll sit on the bottom step for a minute and catch my breath.
It's different. And I get it. I mean, you got to take all that stuff up flights of stairs. And police are just like, you guys good?
Yeah, you show up and it's awful hot out here.
I'm going to block this road about 3 blocks back.
They're going to pull up right in the middle of the road.
There ain't nothing like the fire department jacking up an entire good road to get everybody around, though. Here comes 3 trucks up there and be like, safety first. They're on the shoulder, man.
I used to get so aggravated about that. You'd have a single vehicle 45 on the, and we couldn't signal 8 anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just a 45. I don't need everybody. And then I've got the whole interstate blocked now because of that.
Yes.
But at the same time, it was nice to have,
I'd
a
rather
truck
hit a
there
giant truck
blocking
than a
that
cruiser.
lane. So I know I don't have to worry about some idiot hitting me.
I'm sure y'all have caught the brunt end of me mad on 192 or something like, why y'all here? Oh my gosh. And then just go sit down and be like, you good? Yeah, I'm all right now. Thanks for coming.
I know one thing.
I'll be up there after a while playing PlayStation.
We had a wreck there in Danville one day on the bypass down towards Colton's. It was a pretty good accident. I think it was nighttime. And all of a sudden, a Danville PD unit comes flying by our fire truck, pulls right up next to the patient. I was like, yeah, that's got to be some kind of London guy. Sure enough, it was Jacob getting out of the car right
London
there.
guy.
Yeah, a London guy. Parked right there.
Front row parking.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
we
why
were
we
used
did.
to getting to the call first. It was,
Yeah, what y'all doing here?
we would joke around and be like, we got to get the information for the evidence eradication team.
It's going to be Rogan, Jake. I went to like what's the 300 the supervisor classes of
ICS.
ICS.
Oh, Lord.
So I remember going down and Booger was teaching the class down at down there by the lake. What's not past Cold Hill? What's that fire department?
Ball Drop.
Ball Drop.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's two different worlds. The class started on, it was a weekend class, so the class started like on a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't even, the smell in there was horrible.
Yeah.
And then all them old guys went and took their Saturday baths. The next day it was great.
Yeah.
You're like, thanks, guy. But I was sitting there and I was talking to him. I was like, we're just trying to preserve. We're into evidence preservation here. We want to preserve the scene here. And why do you guys come and just wreck everything? Life comes first, or whatever.
Yes, life is the priority.
I was like, I don't know.
Scene stabilization's on down the line.
Yeah, which
But
is
it's gonna be-
actually, that makes more sense.
But in the
But when you're
selfishness,
trying to get insurance information, all this stuff that don't really matter, it's like,
they're looking too. It's just
Yeah.
flying everywhere.
you're dying. I don't care. I need your insurance.
Because I've done it as an officer. I would be up in the back of the buggy. Can you get his license and
Yeah.
his insurance card out of his wallet before y'all take off?
It was just two different approaches on that scene, and it's good to talk about because cops are like, I've got to work this wreck.
Yeah.
Fire is going to get here and do what they have to do, put the fire out. Maybe have to do CPR, just tend to wounds or whatever, and of course cut every door off of it,
Yeah.
and the top off of it if they can.
Well, it
And
makes
there-
it easier on the adjuster to total the car. See, I mean,
And there at the end, it would be everybody would be in a circle passing around the insurance card because the EMS had to have it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, here you go. You got it.
Yeah.
I got a picture of it. So
Who's unit one?
Well,
But it is to get on the, talk about, hey, I don't understand why you do this, and this is why we do this.
Well, I
and
know
this is
one
why we
thing
did this.
you don't do.
You don't pass them.
You don't pass them on the way to the call.
That was Cody, wasn't it?
That was Cody. Cody definitely got his pee-pee smacked over that one.
You was probably going to that call.
which one was that?
I don't know.
Ricky was driving. Ricky was driving the buggy. And
It wasn't. He was driving a big
Was it
truck.
a full truck?
Yeah, it was a full truck, I think.
so yeah, and Cody was running signal and got behind him, and I guess Ricky's just driving,
Trying to get to the
trying
call
to get
too.
there. Yeah, and he just whips around and passes him. He goes to, oh man, it created World War III.
Oh, God.
That's why there's boxing matches between fire and
Yes.
police.
Yeah.
stress
That's-
relief.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
The day that you all stopped canceling us on vehicle fires, that was a terrible day for me.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
Because I had the contract on the city fire extinguishers, and I mean, you all were going through them left and right, so I was making money hand over
Oh
foot.
yeah, I mean we were still going to use the
God.
fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I think Rick Cochran told you just wait on the fire department. I was like, no, Rick,
No,
let
Rick,
him put
let
that
him
out.
burn.
We
Let
can't-
him put it
Let
out.
him put that
I
out.
can't sit there and wait. I mean,
Use every extinguisher you got.
You
this is the
remember-
closest I'll ever get to being a firefighter.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I don't know how many
Y'all are doing a great
fully
job.
involved cars. It's like, yeah, I gave it my best. And then I remember
Everybody
one
has to
time.
have a dream.
Yeah, one time. You remember the old bike shop that was on town, not the one that downtown, but it's on down the road a little bit. And it was the side. Me and Daryl Kilburn were working night shift, and we was coming back down the road, and we see a fire up the side of like the electric caught on like the box, the fuse or something. It caught on fire at the side of the building, and Daryl grabs his fire extinguisher out, and I grab mine. I'm on the radio. He jumps the fence. Maybe a foot behind it, you could just walk around. I was like, you just had to be that firefighter moment, man. I live that dream.
You got a hurdle.
I was like, Daryl, what just walk around?
Too simple. The theme music was playing. I mean, you had to make the entrance.
Was you out there as a rescue call? But I know y'all went to one. The kid got caught in a pond out there behind Lowe's. That there's a pond way back out there.
Yeah.
Ricky jumps in like, it's just mud, and he flopped like a frog.
Oh, yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
I never seen a guy more muddy. He got stuck in the pond too.
Yeah.
We got the kid, but
then he had to be drugged.
I've never seen more people muddy in my life.
Oh yeah, it's a swamp back there.
It's awful. But he's frogging out there. I was like, golly, heroes. I was like, I'm not going. Y'all won't get me out.
No. See, it was out in the county one time. We went to a guy that was on bath salts, and he got completely naked and ran through a bunch of briars and climbed a tree and got stuck. And a woman called about 10 o'clock in the morning and said, y'all might want to come out here. I've heard a guy yelling all night long. And get out there, and she's like, yeah, he's been yelling since, 9 o'clock at night.
Yep.
I just thought it was some kind of crazy guy. But surely enough, he had got his foot stuck between two limbs and fell backwards.
Oh.
And was still conscious, but he was on bath salts the whole night.
Surprised he didn't
Just
gnaw
snap
it
his
off.
leg.
Yeah.
No, when they uprighted him and everything, I think he ended up dying on the way over to St.
Oh my
Joseph.
gosh.
So,
Jeez.
I mean, just the things that
people wait to call. One time me and Derek and I think Stewart was working night shift. It was weird shift. I was catching all the calls, of course. Mm-hmm. And this guy's out at the shopping center out by Burger King, and the security guard called like hours later. Said, yeah, guys might want to come out here. A couple hours ago, this guy's he's been out here just howling at the moon like a werewolf. I was like, what? He had went to the hospital for some back pain. He was off a Greyhound bus. Ate his fentanyl patch. You remember when they used to give them out all the time?
Yeah.
Ate that sucker and went over there and got wild, and he was dead. I was like, man, you should have maybe called like this. When you first saw him wolfing out.
That would make sure he was
Waited
calm.
because it was werewolf, but now as far as the city of Danville, you cannot take a nap in your vehicle.
Oh God, no!
Or you're an overdose.
Do they put the signs up? Like,
I mean,
they should.
that's like a city ordinance or something over there.
Really?
If you see somebody taking a nap, call 911.
in London, that's just for dogs.
Yeah. I mean, it's because I can't count the number of runs I've made on sleeping people that were overdosed, in their vehicle. But
You gotta leave the note up. Don't Narcan me like he's taking a nap.
We got one about 9 o'clock in the morning one day down Maple Avenue towards Bob Allen. And we get down there, and I forget which officer was with him. He was waiting for the construction crew to show up. He was the flagger. He had just sitting in his car, just chilling out, just going to take a quick nap. But between in 5 minutes, people called. Oh, he's out here. You need to get out here. He's on dope and
unconscious.
everything. Yeah. I mean, he's dead. He's dead. 5-star right there on the bypass. Oh, they'll call all the time.
They're so used to it here. They're just like, don't worry about it. He'll wake up.
That 5-star back towards
Tractor Supply there. Or,
the one closer
Oh, yeah.
to where I would go up there from the School for the Deaf and go up to that one right there.
Yeah.
Houstonville Road. Yes. Yeah.
And that was my I'd go get my favorite Black Buffalo. That's where I discovered that snuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and no nicotine stuff. I was
Yes.
like, heck yeah, that is the only place I'd heard about it. I was like, that's where I'm going. And then,
Not a sponsor, but it could be.
Yes.
but they had, I had that cruiser I drove had green on it to match the school colors,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting up there, and I'd fuel there. So I was getting gas, and this guy comes up, and he's like, "Where you from?" I was like, "Danville." What do you mean? He's like, "Danville, Virginia." I was like, "We're in Danville, Kentucky. Well, I've never seen a green cruiser in Danville." So I was like, they're everywhere.
Yeah, and
I thought they were just in London, but apparently
we've pulled up on calls and being a reserve engine, and the people in the house be like, "Well, where's engine 12?" And I'm like, "It's broke right now. That's why we're in 17."
Sure.
And I mean, I'm like, these
They know.
people keep up with their apparatus and their
Yeah.
cruisers and such. I'm like,
Well, you know,
they're paying attention.
Danville City Police is light blue or whatever.
Yeah.
You're driving a green car.
Yeah, you don't match.
Are you an imposter? Yes. I am. I'm from London. I'm infiltrating. There's 5 or 6 of us.
London's got a large presence in Danville now
Oh, my
between
gosh.
fire and law enforcement.
So we were allowed to park cruisers in Mount Vernon. So it got to be where there was 5 or 6 cruisers sitting in that parking lot up at the 911 center.
More than what was at the PD in Danville.
And when John Rock went up there, he was the only one, so he used to park at the sheriff's office. Well, then, then another one comes, so they were like, "Hey, we don't have any room here. Can you guys move up to 911?"
Yeah.
So they had this nice parking lot, and then I'm pulling out, and the county judge and the 911 director come out. They were like, "Well, there's a bunch of you up here now, huh?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, that part, we own that building right down below you right there, too. I was like, "You want us to move?" "Well, there's 12 of you up here."
Too nice to come out and ask, but
I said, "I'll tell them." So
Since you thought of it, I mean,
we had to go through an approval to move to the building below it.
Yeah.
It's just because the cameras watching it. They didn't want
Yeah.
nobody jacking with them cruisers. But it was just like, well, we own that building right down there. Mm-hmm. There's more Danville City police officers in Mount Vernon than there was
yeah.
in both agencies. Rock Castle SO and Mount Vernon. They was all just parked up there. So you went from Lexington Fire then to Lexington
Bluegrass Airport, yeah.
So
And-
for money.
Yeah, because, I mean, it was a $10,000 pay raise to go to the airport because Lexington Fire at that point wasn't paying nearly what it does today.
Right.
now did you
And-
have to work 8 as an officer there and 16 as a fire?
You did the 24-48
Yeah.
schedule, but 8 hours of your 24 was as a patrol officer.
Yeah.
Well, I was the new hire, so guess what? I got third shift. I mean, third shift's been my law enforcement shift my entire
Don't
life.
they shut that gates down at like?
Yeah, that's why third shift's the place to be.
Third shift was always the best shift in law enforcement.
At 12:30 at night, the last plane had landed and the people had cleared their luggage by midnight. Midnight 30 at the latest. And so
That's incoming because TSA leaves now at like 9.
Yeah,
or 10.
because so you would lock the front doors of the terminal, and the only people in
I've
the
got the
building
keys.
were the cleaning crew. And so, from 12:30 up until 4:30 or so, 4:30, the terminal was locked down, and you'd go back over at 4:30 and unlock the doors so that people could start coming in to go through TSA for the 6 a.m. flight.
Right.
And so, I mean, for 4 hours, you're sitting over at the firehouse watching infomercials, or hanging out. It was a long shift. But they had their own
He bought
dispatch center.
P90X.
Yeah, so
What else was going on? About
Girls
that?
Gone Wild, man. They were on every night. So
Wonder what kind of reception you can get off of that big Doppler radar.
That's crazy.
But you had your own dispatch there. So one of the complaints I had at the airport, they're like, "Okay, now listen. We know that you've been a police officer in southeastern Kentucky, and the airport's a little different. we're more customer service. You know, it's a Class 5 city. The airport is, so it's got its own government. You know, the airport boards,
Right.
their governing agency, and all that. So they've got their own numbers. But we had this guy that didn't want to pay his valet parking fees, and so he's raising a ruckus. Well, they call dispatch, said we need an officer out here for an unruly subject. And I get there. He was a frat boy from UK that didn't want to pay. He said, that's too much. I'm like, well, right there's the sign on the side of their little building that tells you the daily rate. You've been gone for a week, so that'd be seven times 15. You know, that's what you owe.
Right, yeah.
And I said, the economy parking's back there, and you park it yourself. So you decide to valet, and this is what you get. Well, I'm not going to pay it. I said, well, that's fine. You don't have to pay it. I said, but this is, private property, and we're going to be closing up, so it's time for you to leave. So I can escort you out to Man of War, and you can go wherever you please, but you're not going to stay here. Well, I got to get my bag. So we go to the airline desk there because he hadn't got his bag yet. And he's standing there talking to the clerk, at the register. Well, I'm standing there behind him because I'm going to escort him off the property. And he turns around and kind of flinches forward at me. And he's like, that's not even a real badge. We had embroidered badges, it looked like Lexington Metro badge. He goes, I ain't afraid of that badge. I said, it's not the badge you got to be afraid of. And so I'm just standing there, letting him do his thing. He gets his bag. He turns around and flinches again and chest bumps me. Well, I assist him down to the ground so I can check and see if he's got any weapons. Cuff him up. Well, while I'm doing that, at the airport, there's cameras everywhere, so dispatch monitors those. Well, they yell out, all units 411 needs assistance. And about that time, he's slammed and cuffed, and I'm standing back up. And they're like, never mind, he's got everything under control.
Yeah.
So the guy's girlfriend comes in from the outside. She's like, what's going on? I said, I'm going to give him a ride. She's like, where to? I said, well, he's going to Fayette County Detention. I said, the cab line is right down there if you need a ride out of here. And so she ended up catching a cab and going home, and he went to jail that night because he wanted to play chest bump with the police. So
they didn't. Did they have to bring you in and be like, that wasn't very good customer service? Were they like, oh, that's how policing goes?
Well, that's what I said. We don't get to see that very often.
Yeah, I mean, that's, even with community policing and being more lax, you still can't let somebody.
Yeah, no, I mean, he had every break he could get, and that's.
As soon as they lay hands on you, it's.
Yeah, once he made
over.
contact, he'd bought the free ticket, so.
Yeah.
I couldn't even. So you did that for a couple of years,
and then went to vehicle enforcement as an officer here in London.
Yeah,
and then promoted to sergeant.
That was fun. We worked some down there at the scale house together. That was fun times.
It was the best law enforcement job I ever had. I mean, with the KV, it was the land of milk and honey. I mean, that's
it's a good. It was a good. I'm sure it's still good. I don't know what they do. They're absorbed now.
They don't hire anymore.
No, they don't.
No, I think
officers,
they teach it. The troopers get taught it now in the academy.
They actually show the troopers how to do it now. That was Jason Van Hook's big thing. He's like, because we were wanting equal pay. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, you can't. You've not been to the state police academy. You can't have equal pay. I said, now listen. I said, I can put on any police uniform and somebody's just as arrested. I'm POP certified in Kentucky. I said, you can't put on a CVE uniform and do an inspection on a big truck because you've not been trained. I said, now who's better trained? That's
I think we need more money.
That was an argument when they would talk about the guys that went through LEAP class.
Yeah,
we're like,
well,
they're only half troopers.
Yeah,
well, they got 36 weeks of training. You've only got 20.
They're half a trooper. They give some heartburn. For the guys that have been through the entire.
But they got way more hours of training. They're way more.
Which their rite of passage through there is more like going through.
It's
like
hell week.
buds.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
They treat them pretty
it's
rough.
real. I mean that's
they don't want you to be there if you don't.
they encourage you to leave if you
Yes.
don't want to really be there.
I got Marine buddies that said it was tougher.
I've heard that many times. It's a lot tougher than any boot camp
Yeah.
of any branch of military.
They told me that, and I was like, I had to do extra time there, getting hurt and stuff. That
Yeah.
Marine Corps boot camp, I ain't gonna do that.
Yeah.
I
I'm
experienced
good.
it. I was like, yeah, I'm good, guys. You can have this.
I don't know.
I'll go back and be a city kitty.
Did you go? Did you
Yeah,
try?
I went.
I don't remember that. It must not have been long.
No, it wouldn't. It was long enough.
Hey, you gotta try. You gotta try.
I remember I was up there and you're all standing in the hallway at attention. You've got your little packet and all your
Oh, I remember when
OL.
you went.
Yeah, your OL and all that. You're standing at attention. They're come through there. One of the instructors looked at me, and he just grabbed my stuff and all the way down the hall. So papers went everywhere. And he's like, "You got 15 seconds to pick all that back up." It's like, well, I might as well just assume the position.
Yeah,
It's a whole lot easier. How many
Yeah.
you want?
Yeah. Let's just cut to the chase. How many towel slides?
I would say that then DOCJT would be more like going through the Air Force Academy. Then they try to just mess with you with
Yeah.
testing and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if you don't pass this, they would kick you out, but it was not as physical.
and I mean, really, as far as education in law enforcement, working as a bailiff, I learned more in the courtroom as a bailiff. I mean,
That makes sense.
on what the attorneys were looking, what loopholes they tried to pick on and such. I mean, having a couple years as a bailiff really helped me, I think, as far as being a road unit, because you learned who the repeat offenders were, and such. I mean, I had a year in corrections, a couple years in the courtroom, and it just helped me to interact, I guess, use that verbal judo for an academy term, to work through some things.
Keep you out of some bad tickets, some bad casework, some stuff like that. I never thought about that. Start as a bailiff.
Yes.
Listen, I've said it from the beginning. If you can get to where an agency that'll let you work on the road or let you do something before you go to the academy, you're better off. You're just, by the time you get out to the road, you're so much better than somebody just come out green.
That's kind of how EMS is in the fire. You have so much interaction with them, and you work some calls with them, and by the time you go to EMT school, you kind of like, okay, yeah, I kind of understand this. I got a gist for it. Yeah, 100%.
It's you get that on job shadowing, I guess, is what you need really more than anything. You learn more that way than because you come out of the academy and and they teach you a whole lot, and some of it you use and some of it you don't. But most of it is, I remember, most of the instructors were, well, this is what we're going to teach you, but when you get to your department, they may have something different. So it's like then. All right, it's...
And as a sergeant and a FTO, I mean, anytime we had a new hire that was coming out on FTO, I'm like, listen, not everybody wants to kill you, even though the academy has told you this. You're ready to draw down on Granny after church. I mean, she's probably not looking to take you out.
No.
So, trying to get that reset in the mind. I mean, yes, obviously be on your guard.
Yeah.
For the
don't
unexpected.
get complacent.
But
But
and I would tell mine, I said, I want you to talk to every person like you would your grandmother until they give you a reason not to talk to them nice. And, as far as complaints, when I was a sergeant, I'm like, if I'm not getting complaints on you, you're probably not working hard enough.
Right.
Because people are not going to be happy to see the blue lights. I mean, that was vehicle enforcement. I mean, we were high ticket, production part of the crew,
If we was running into a call right now and one of y'all was behind me with blue lights and we was running signal 9 somewhere, I'd be, oh gosh, they're after me. We're going to the same call. There's a dread about seeing a police officer behind you, like, oh my gosh, is everything okay? Did I pay my, how fast am I going?
Yeah.
And then that cop's back there going, God, I wish this guy would hurry
up. Just go on. Get out of the way.
We got stopped over in Indiana, and I knew I was getting stopped because we passed head on, and I seen the brake lights. I said, here we go. So I pulled over, and it's ended up not getting a ticket, but it's professional courtesy.
If you was in Virginia, you was getting one.
Oh yeah, they write their own. They don't care.
They don't care.
They get gold stars for writing their own.
The getting stopped when they turn around, that brings back a story on Zanet. On Daryl. So when this is 03 because I just bought a new truck, and the temp tag was in the window or something like that. It's a brand new truck that we were in East Bernstead because it was Larry Walls' bachelor party. And we dropped Larry off, and I was headed back into London and met Daryl there on 490. And Daryl's like, he was profiling because he said, I saw a brand new Chevrolet truck in East Bernstead. I knew it didn't belong here. So
they say not to profile, and you shouldn't on some stuff, but 90% of the time it works.
It works. So he pulls us over. Well, Nick Minton was in the back of the truck, and he sticks his head out squalling. And I won't say Dougie Jones was riding with Daryl that night.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh no!
So I drop it down in first gear and pop the clutch, and off we go as he's making his approach. So there's gravels flying off the front of Daryl's car. He's jumping back in to call in pursuit, and as we're coming up on London, I'm like, I better pull over because city police will be up here, and they're liable to shoot a man as he comes into town. So,
you never know.
It's different times.
Yeah, it's different times back then. So,
or maybe.
But he said that Daryl's knuckles were white the rest of the night, though, because he was mad. He turned around after he saw who it was.
I was right. My first ride was with him. Police, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy. I was getting car sick from the get-go. I remember him thinking, I was like, you gonna stop that car? I wonder if he's gonna stop his car. It's like taking out the ditch line. Back across. He's probably just on his cell phone.
Looks good from here.
He dropped something to the floor.
Looks good from my house.
We've actually riding. It was funny. He's nuts. But we've had some fun times.
Yeah.
Policing in this county. It's different. Different world over here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
People just don't know.
I can speak for that.
Even fire, everything about it is like, if it's gonna go crazy, it's gonna be right here.
It's gonna be right here. Yeah.
I don't know why it's such a
Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
If bad weather's gonna come,
It's a magnet.
It's gonna happen.
it's gonna come right
It's
here.
awful.
There you go. I went to. You don't go to East Bernstead if there's a tornado watch.
Yeah.
No.
I've learned that.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, my wife had went to somewhere, the ones in, when was that, 2011? Whenever that was. The big ones, the hitty big.
Yeah.
13.
12, 13, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, my wife and daughter were out of town, and my son was younger, and I was like, hey, I'll just go down to mom and dad's, and, they got a nice big basement. I did too, but they had like recliners and TV and stuff. So we was just going to hang out down there. We're down there off Filter Plant Road. Like when we touched down, like right across the river or the creek down there, Woods Creek. Dad, we was like, what in the world? Lights just flickered, and we went out. I was like, oh my gosh. It was a meth bubble at one time.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know what you blame it on now.
Yeah.
But my dad
man
always
bubble
said those
tickets.
storms follow that Rockcastle River. He said that's what it does. That water draws the storm.
Yeah.
So
Was you working on that hit Carnaby Square? And
I was working that day, and then I was working the one that hit East Bernstein too, because they were asking for people to shut down Arthur Ridge.
yeah,
And so I'm like, I'm good for this. So I take my cruiser, just park it sideways in the road, and nobody's going to come in, because they're like, we got all the help we need.
Yeah.
I don't know if the ambulances can even get out once we get to the patients. And I mean, people were pulling up and saying, we're trying to get up there to help. I'm like, no, unless they've asked for you specifically, go find you someplace else. This road's closed. And, it's give a few people heartburn, but that was what they needed. They needed fewer vehicles up Arthur Ridge. And
It was more of a hindrance to have more people helping.
Yeah.
it was awful. I mean, I was up there in it. And you're like,
Yep.
I gotta get down. I'll never get back. Good luck, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
That's like when we had the interstate shooting a couple months ago. I'm down at Mom and Dad's again, which the 49 mile marker. We're on filter plants. We're 3-4 miles as a crow flies. Yeah, it's maybe closer, but we're like, Mom, Dad, there's been a shooting down here at the interstate. Don't know what's going on. And me and my brother went down there to watch UK play football, and already upset about the loss there. So we're sitting down there, and we're like, there's been shooting down here. There's active shooter stuff going on. So stay put. But I was like, I got to get out here because I know what's coming. They're going to shut down everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to get back to town.
Yeah.
I want to get home.
Yeah.
And so me and my brother, we leave. And I called Mom and Dad. Y'all good? Y'all okay? We're stuck in traffic. I was like, where did you go? Oh, we went and fed the cows up from Second Creek. I'm like, but I didn't think we didn't think nothing about it. I've been stuck in traffic for like 4 hours. I was like, man, we should have put that memo a little bigger. Like, hey,
painted the picture a little clearer.
You're going to get stuck. If you leave, you're going to get stuck out. So.
We left the ball game. We were at the UK football game and had to go to Nicholasville, to Lancaster, Stanford,
you had to
all the way down to Pulaski County and up and over.
That's a long drive, but it was faster than coming to
Yeah, it was.
Sitting in the parking lot of I-75.
Yeah. And traffic was bad on 80 that night. People going around different things. Diverting. Yeah.
And that's what this town, if there's anything that happens on I-75, this place locks up like no other. And I don't know if that happens in Danville. If something happens on the bypass, people don't get diverted to go downtown usually.
They try to avoid downtown.
Yeah.
You can circle around kind of. But
Yeah. I can't remember where we've had a big traffic problem. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Because we're working tomorrow. Let's wait for the next
when your ears are burning tomorrow, it'll be me and Dylan going,
But the funny story about that tornado, we went to Bradford Road Arthur Ridge.
Yep.
And me, Joey Robertson, Dylan Blair, and Justin Vanna, we went down. We had to go down Little Arthur Ridge because they said, there's some houses back there, and they got tore up. We crawled under trees, over trees, all that. Finally got to a house back there. And that's about the time the sheriff's department got their Hummer.
Yeah.
And what's the guy from Danville PD that used to work sheriff's department?
Grigsby
came back there and picked us up. We didn't make it a mile through a field, and that damn Hummer was hung up. So we had to walk like 2 miles through a field just to get back to the rescue truck.
I went during the floods out in Eastern Kentucky. We went out there and worked. And what was that? Coal Run.
They got flooded, so they got flooded this time.
Yeah.
So Coal Run had a Hummer, and they gave it to Whitesburg. And I'm like, I'm driving it. Because I was in the Marines. I was like, I don't want to drive them suckers. I get in there, I'm like, I forgot how absolutely uncomfortable these stupid things and hot they get. I'm like, and dusty. I was like, and we only drove it like maybe a half mile. I was like, I'm just going to let this sit here.
If you're the least bit husky, we'll say, you don't fit in there very well. Yeah, you don't.
No.
Because
that beeping?
I think that was make sure.
Okay, we're good.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're
Let's
good.
make sure we wasn't on our time.
Yeah.
No,
We've had,
but yeah, we got in there all kitted out when we went.
yeah, it's too much.
And that was, getting in
Oh,
there.
my,
I think I had this much room in between my
there's
carrier and my.
Gotta get up in the 50 cal.
Yeah.
They had it welded shut,
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
They didn't want
but
anybody
not
up there.
enough because we went through this big. I've got video of it. We went through this big water hole.
So the Carnaby Square, this was before you
Yeah,
moved down, and you were, how old were you in like 2001 or something? Third grade? Something like that.
Somewhere.
So that one, I was still, was it 2000, 2001? It's one of them years. Because the next year came the big ice storm, so I think that was 2002. So 2001, we're sitting there. My wife had just come in from Big Lots over there, and then we were buying the house we're in now, so it was in the paths because it. And then
I remember all the debris being across Main Street and stuff in front of Hardee's. I mean,
chunks of it.
Yeah.
And I lived there on Morgan Street. So, I mean, it's coming. And that's where Hoghead lived over there. J Mac was living over there. Lodge was building a house, and he was living in the apartments that I was in. Josh Gaylor lived right behind us. I mean, there's a lot of cops lived there. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this absolute, and I remember coming out and Jason McAllen's on his radio. There's nothing to see here, just look, because everybody had started turning down there, and it was just crazy.
because there's debris everywhere.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
And that storm, it was so sunny outside, and it just whooped up one right quick, and
Then the sun come back out.
came back out. And it was like, what in the world? But it tore up London there pretty good right around that, on them streets right there. But it might have been a 1.5 2 mile tornado. Was it?
Yep.
And so you was working on that one?
Because I won't say that was when I lived on Morgan Street too. I lived
You were there too. Everybody lived on Morgan Street.
I lived in a basement apartment there at 108 Morgan. And
Yeah. You were down. You were
And
right
so-
there downstairs, like where the next one was. I was at 106 or whatever
Yeah.
right there, 104. or
And
whatever.
that was my little dungeon apartment that I
Is
called
that where
it.
Sam's?
Because there were no windows or anything in it. I mean, it had one way in, one way out. It was it was a fire nightmare. So I kept my gear in the apartment, in case it caught on fire, I could find my way out.
Was that in those the brick ones?
The big, where the storage buildings are in front of it now.
We were neighbors, didn't we? I was up in I was upstairs, and Lodge lived right there.
Yep.
And then you were down in the.
I was down in the dungeon.
It's a compound.
You were
So-
poor.
I mean, I had an electric bill that was like $20 a month. I mean,
Sweating the $20 too.
So we were neighbors that day. Yeah, that's right. Norm from the from the middle school
Lived
up there.
upstairs.
He was right there
Yep.
beside me. Oh, that's a great place.
So,
You say you were there. We were neighbors, didn't even know. I got some questions now. I need to answer.
Strange sounds. Yeah.
Well,
Those weren't peacocks after all.
that was a dungeon in there. So
Yep.
you were there. Lies was like right above you as if you came out your basement, out of your dungeon.
Yep.
He was like right there. I think my father-in-law was living there. It was just crazy. Wild storm. My dad saw it he left Country Club or Crooked Creek. He'd been out golfing, him and my brother. He's like, what in the world's that over there? It's just a big white cloud. They said. And he was like, I think it's the tornado, Dad. Nah, it can't be. It's sunny. Then all of a sudden it went through those trailers over had that manufactured homes over there. All that complete, I think that's a tornado.
Start lifting it up.
Wow. What else you got for us? I know you got something.
We've talked. Somehow we've still ended up talking police stuff. We're just
going to go where I'm comfortable.
So let's get into some good fire stuff.
I mean, how long we been?
We've got an hour and 48. So.
Oh, we could do a two-parter on
Oh,
this.
yeah.
We'll do the police, and now we're going to fire.
You asked him about a fire
I can't
earlier.
ask. I can't ask questions on fire except for what's the craziest fire you went to? Because that's all I know how to interview on a fire.
Yeah, we don't know anything about fire other than it's
So
hot.
now y'all take over.
And I've got 2 on the fires.
Okay.
And the first one is the clubhouse out at Levi Jackson. When that tone dropped or whatever, we responded out. John Blanton was there, and there were 5 of us that responded that day. I mean, volunteer department, when everybody's at work, you get a smaller turnout.
Right.
And so we pull up and start making attack on the fire. We go in. I mean, I'm laying on my belly, spraying the nozzle as hard as it will go, whipping the nozzle around. And I'm just like, okay, it's not cooling off any. If anything, it's drove me into the floor. So I tell the guy that's behind me, I'm like, listen, we got to back out. We're not winning here. We're going to get hurt.
Was it John?
And John was pumping the truck. Wes Wheeler, God rest his soul, he was the one that was behind me, and he was a probie at the time, you know. So I mean, he had never had experience with fire, and he was crawling along. Well, I come out, and my gear when I went in was the gold colored PBI gold. Well, it was jet black. And the leather helmet I had was white when I went in, and it was blistered in black when I come out. I mean, it was so hot. When I took the air pack off, you could see the gold of the turnout gear coat under the strap, you know. Gosh. And then on my back, where the tank was on my back, it was still gold in color, but the gear had pretty much burned up. And so we come out. John's like, "We're out of water. You got anybody coming to us for water supply?" He's like, "Nope, ain't had time." So I get on the radio. I'm like, "Dispatch, we need mutual aid for water supply." They're like, "Who do you want to page?" I said, "I don't care. Just pay. If they want to bring water, they're more than welcome to come to the party." You know,
Are y'all at London or y'all at
we're at Laurel County.
Okay.
And so London City had the street sweeper tanker back then.
Yep.
So they brought it out. They brought an engine out. They laid 2 3-inch lines from that hydrant when you first come up the hill there at Levi, all the way around to where the clubhouse was, you know. And that hydrant ain't much. I mean, it's just a trickle. So filling 2 3-inch lines, it was not a happy hydrant.
It's mad.
It was bad. And so we successfully burnt the entire building down to the foundation. I mean, there was not a lot of cleanup to do after we got finished. I mean,
But you had a lot of thank yous on that.
Well, and I tell people, I'm like, you know, here they get this brand new clubhouse, and there wasn't a plaque or anything put in it,
nice,
you know, thanking, you know, the fire department for this opportunity to get a brand new clubhouse.
Just a mention of the insurance company.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, that was one of my, you know, more notorious foundation saves. And but because that's about all that was left.
I remember. Did you ever go to church camp or any camps out there in those little small buildings up there
in the
with
little
Watton
cabins?
burgers? And that you use that clubhouse for lunch and stuff. So
that's where the meals were served. Which, I mean, it was a log cabin building, so all that, you know, clear coat on those logs and everything. I mean, there wasn't no putting the fire out. It was cooking.
I remember Seymour Wattenberger hanging off the back of that thing, talking to the campers as they were lined up all the time.
There on the rail.
Yeah,
the rail. So there was that one, and then Lucas Apartments on 4th Street.
Yeah.
You know, when it caught on fire.
Listen, that one. I was in the academy when that one went down.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I'm glad I'm not working the street because that was cold that night, wasn't it?
It wasn't in the attic. I mean, because so
pretty warm up there.
Yeah, pretty warm there.
Well, there was an iceberg for like a week or two after that off the
from
side
the water.
Of that place. Yeah.
But Hoghead and myself, I know we were upstairs and we'd made it actually into the attic with a 2.5-inch line, a larger line, and we're sitting there fighting fire. Well, they sound the evacuation signal. So we come out. I'm like, why? We were making advancement on this thing. You know, we're putting the fire out. They're like, well, there's fire shooting 60 feet out through the hole in the roof. I said, well, that's 60 feet of fire that's not burning me in the attic, you know, where I'm spraying water. Let it burn out in the sky.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, no, it's not safe. The building could come down, you know, and all this. So the picture in the front page of the Sentinel, you know, shows me pointing up there because I'm sitting there yelling at a couple saying, up there's where we're going to have to go to put this fire out. We can't stand down here on the sidewalk and extinguish this fire. And so, you know, Danny Spurlock.
I remember that. I remember that Sentinel picture.
So,
that was,
but
it's
Danny,
probably in the fire department.
It
now.
is, yeah.
Danny Spurlock was, you know, he was the chief at the time, and it was not uncommon for him, any structure fire that we went to, he would grab me by the air pack strap, you know, and say, now, Fuzz, don't you get none of my guys hurt. What do you think? I'm just that reckless in there, or what? I mean, I've
This
got
ain't Lexington, buddy.
yeah, I've got a purpose. I'm going in to put the fire out. You know, well, I'm not trying to lose guys. They're too hard to come by. So, but yeah, my firefighting tactics made him a little nervous, I think, through the years. So,
Oh my gosh!
as far as just being aggressive and
We got to get the fire out.
yeah.
Using the guys as fire blankets. Here, you lay down on that.
So
You fought fire like you pleased.
oh yeah,
wow.
it was full throttle.
That's funny. That's how many fires you think you've like big structure fires?
I mean, in Lexington, when we were in the academy, we had a old funeral home that caught on fire, and we got to respond to it on a second or third alarm. You know, as recruits, even that's how short-handed they were.
Man.
You know, and so the UK admin building, when it burnt, I got to go to that fire, and so I mean, there's been some big commercial fires through the Lexington times there. We've been lucky at Danville. There's not been.
You've had it.
Yeah, it's
Knocking on wood.
Yeah.
But you know, CTA, that anniversary just passed. You
I
know,
saw
and,
that. I saw that on Facebook or something. I was like, I can't believe that's been.
You know,
has it been 22?
yeah, 20. Well,
21?
It was 03 when it
03,
happened.
so 22 years.
22
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
That's crazy. I was in the
And-
police academy, and everybody's like, "Are you from London?" I was like, "Yeah." You know, these guys that know
Yeah.
me in the academy, like, "You know where this place is?" I was it's kind of
Yeah,
it's
I've heard of it.
I was like, man, is it like blown up? I was like, huh?
Yeah.
It's on the news at Quackers over there. I
Yeah.
was watching it. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the most fatalities. I mean, there's been wreck after wreck. I mean, from being an accident reconstructionist,
Yeah.
commercial vehicle side of it. I mean, I can't count all the big fires or reconstructions through the years. I mean, a lot of them run together, but then there's others that stand out, just like it was last week. I mean, it's so.
And it's hard when, like, I don't know how many times you've been in those Lucas apartments have been there forever, and now there's still an empty lot there to this day. Where Weavers, you mentioned that there's just an empty lot there that you grow up eating at that place,
Yeah.
and you're like, all those pictures and stuff that were on the wall where your grandfathers and you're like
the history
the history of that
disappeared
Irreplaceable,
in overnight.
Lee's chicken. Lee's
chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big fire.
Yeah.
And the worst one of all time in London to me. Well, Weavers, and I'm gonna say Chinatown.
Yeah, Chinatown's touch and go.
It hurt me bad because I loved to eat that.
And it was dangerous for the firefighters because I mean
Did it spark up a couple times? Or
Yeah,
something?
they had talking to some of those guys, you know, that made entry on that one. It was, you know, a hot, nasty fire, and I mean, it was just dirty kitchen. You know, I mean,
Grease
lots of
everywhere,
grease build up. I mean, it's just when you spray water on grease,
It just goes
you know,
everywhere.
it just spreads. You know, so.
I only know that from accidents.
So,
Not because I'm a firefighter. There's water in grease fire don't go there.
Don't fry bacon with your shirt off either.
yes,
Getting on the lighter side though, what's probably the funniest call as a firefighter? That I know everybody jokes says you know responded to cats and trees and
which we've had
like
our fair share of cats and trees. And my reply is, have you ever seen a cat skeleton hanging out of a tree?
No, exactly.
No.
So it's, you know,
Little fluffy.
so, but we had an overdose not long ago that they Narcan the gal, and you know she's naked whenever we show up because they've doused her with water, ice water and stuff. You know the age old overdose treatment.
Ice cube in the butthole.
Ice cube in the I mean I don't know what it is about the ice cubes and orifices, but
It does not work.
No.
apparently that's on the black market. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So we Narcan this girl and we're getting ready to pick her up to put her on the stretcher. Well, as we're picking her up,
I gotta write
she
that
comes
down.
back too.
Things to try later.
And so she wakes up and I'm sitting there holding her hands and she's looking at me and she's like, what's going on? I said, well, I think you have been dead for a little bit and now you're back with us.
Yeah.
And so she's like, this happens to me every time I get Narcan. I wake up naked. Well, number one, every time, so that means it's happened more than this time.
Yeah.
You know, so this was not her first, time of being Narcaned and brought back from the dead.
I just want to know what officer is taking her clothes off. That's what she's probably wondering.
So yeah, poor thing. I mean, every time she gets Narcan, she wakes up naked. So.
That's
It's like Danny. Every time he drinks, he
Gets up naked.
What about you? What's the funniest one?
The funniest one, actually, it involves law enforcement.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of course it does.
We there in Elizabethtown, we had I think it was originally like a furniture store or something like that, and it caught on fire. So we go, and by the time we get there, it's well involved, and we tried to go to the roof, start cutting a hole to vent it and stuff like that, and it didn't. Let me back up a little bit. At that time, I was living with a buddy of mine, and he had just recently divorced. It was an ugly divorce and everything, and he was the assistant chief, and we had 2 stations in that volunteer. So he went to the south station, and I went to the north station. And when I left to get my vehicle to go to the north station, he was in the bathroom putting his contacts in. He goes, "I'll see you out there." I was, all right, great. So, anyways, we get to the fire. It's not a good one at all, and by the time we tried to go to the roof collapsed. So we're cleaning up and everything. Fire gets out, and one of the other assistant chiefs goes, "Have you seen Frank?" And I was like, "No. Now that I think about it, I haven't." So we start looking around, can't find Frank. We're panicking. We take this building completely apart trying to find him. And we can't find him. And we call hospitals, and he's not at a hospital. And ask EMS, did they take him? No, nothing. So we eventually called the Elizabethtown City PD, and they hadn't seen him. Because where we lived it was in the heart of Elizabethtown, and you had to drive through. They hadn't seen him. So we eventually called the Hardin County Sheriff's Department, and they said, yeah, we've seen him. Oh, great. Where's he at? Well, he's in the Hardin County Detention Center. What do you mean he's in the Hardin County Detention Center? One of our deputies pulled him over and arrested him for car theft. And we're like, why? Well, it's a little bit of a misunderstanding. What had happened is, he had gotten his car. He went to the south end, turned his siren on. You remember the little square box strobes?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
He had one of those. Well, in the midst of going down what was Main Street in Elizabethtown, the strobe quit, but the siren was still going. So a sheriff's deputy saw that and thought it was a car alarm. Thought he had stole that vehicle. Pulled him over. His ex-wife had not sent him the papers to pay his tags in his car, and not sent him the paper because when he bought that car, the title went to his old house and his wife had gotten rid of that, so that the name of that car was still in the car lot. So he tried to explain to that deputy, no, I own this car. I'm on my way to a fire. No, you're not. locked him up and took him to the detention center. So that was the best one. And that poor sheriff's deputy, I think he caught a lot of crap over that fire right there. Yeah, so, good faith. Yeah, good faith. So
I'm sure
he wouldn't be the first.
Sure they worked it out.
He wouldn't be the first officer to arrest or threaten to arrest a firefighter.
Was that Jason? The fan?
Jason Manning?
Yeah, I think-
yeah.
I've
He's
heard
done
it.
it multiple times. It
I've
wasn't
heard
just
that
a
story.
one-time thing
Yeah.
for
He
him.
fought more fire than anybody.
Yeah, but he didn't have nothing for them. If he was dressed in gray, he didn't want nobody beating him to the scene. So
That's
I
hilarious.
think Drew threatened to arrest Larry once too, on scene.
Happens.
Yeah.
Oh, I
happens.
mean, we could sit here and I mean, just looking back on all the good stuff that's half the fun of the job.
Yes.
Is the stories. Well, we had now think of it. We had a guy. We got called to a guy down in a yard in Jefferson County, out by the river. If you ever go to Mike Lenning's, the fish place out there, it's out there.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah.
So we get out there, and there's 3 or 4 couples arguing in the front yard, and there's an old man just not breathing in the middle of the yard, and they're arguing, bickering, complaining, and everything, back and forth, back and forth. And we're like, what happened? And they just stopped. And they're like, we don't know. And they went back to arguing. So we started working this guy. Get him in the back of an ambulance. We had to take him, I think, at that time, it was like St. Mary's. I think it's like St. Joe South or something now.
Yeah.
And we get him in the ambulance. We're driving, and there's a car like bumper to bumper. And you know, we can't stop. If not, they'll rear end us. We end up shocking him in the back of the ambulance. A .38 revolver falls out of his pocket. And it was a domestic argument on who was going to get the house when he died. And he ended up dying in the yard over the argument. They were just stressed him out so much he had a heart attack and died right there.
I wonder if they got that settled.
did he sign the will?
Better sign that wheel.
Yeah. I mean, you could go on and on, but that's what's one of the best parts of this whole job, whether it be law enforcement, EMS, fire. It's the stories that
And that's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
So we don't forget it.
Don't forget it.
And because, it's not this is as much, I've said this every time, it's therapy for me. It's getting together with friends that we don't get to hang out as much as we used to.
Yeah.
And telling those stories. A lot of these I haven't heard because I've not worked with you guys like I have some of the PD guys. So I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But other people need to hear this stuff too. The other and just to put the human side of who we are and what we've done, because a lot of people, I don't know how many times you're like, oh, I never knew what you look like.
Right.
Except, unless you got a uniform on or something.
However, after listening to us tell all these stories, they may be like, I don't know that I want to call these guys anymore.
I've had people say, I didn't recognize you with clothes on. I'm like, wait a minute. Well, without a uniform, they'll say. I'm like, okay, let's make that clear.
That's so crazy.
One of the funny ones that I remember from the county fire department days when it was on Sipple Street, in the McLean building, is when they paged druthers out on fire.
Oh man, that was.
And me and a couple of the guys were sitting on the front bumper of the truck, had the bay door up and stuff, when the tone went off. And so Wilson Rollins was chief then, and he goes on scene, smoke showing. Well, I yelled at these 2 guys. I said, get in the truck. They said, what are we doing? I said, we're going for driver's training right now. Because, it's a city fire. We're the county fire. So we get out, go straight up the hill, make a right, turn into Carnaby Square there, and there's Wilson waving us in. I'm like, oh, looks like they want help from us. So, since we're here in a fire truck. so we got to pull in and actually drag a line in and start fighting fire, without being requested, so to speak, but that was kind of my mindset was, okay, it's time for driver's training. Let's get up here.
I've got a good feeling about this. Did it burn? Gosh, the only druthers left in this world that I know of is over in Campbellsville.
Yes.
And it's still delicious.
Go down south somewhere, yeah.
It's.
But that was just a bathroom fire. This one got knocked out. It reopened. So
I've heard about some shenanigans that happened at Druthers back in the day from people that used to work there.
yes.
I reckon it was a wild place, a good place to work. Wow. But yeah, I think, like, man, some of these places, like my neighbor's house, catches on fire, and I got accused of that one. And it's like, man, it's fascinating to sit there and be like, the destruction that's happening and people running in there, like, that is dangerous stuff.
And I guess the big comparison I have as far as firefighting versus law enforcement is a lot more uncontrolled because, I mean, like working 75, I mean, we've stopped people with bloody knives in the trunk that have killed and stolen a car in North Carolina that wasn't even reported stolen yet. You know, I mean, that's so that was foiled here in London,
right?
And but if the building's on fire and it's really on fire, we may take a defensive stance and stay out in the yard and spray water until it goes out. Save the foundation. But it can be uncontrolled, but I feel like that if you look at it, size it up and stuff, you can make better educated decisions on what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting into. As far fire is a fire.
Fire chemistry is the same. I mean, it's going to do pretty much the same thing.
You don't have a female in a domestic that is now the aggressor because you're taking baby daddy to jail. So.
There was some kind of there was smoke coming out. It was over at a building over there around, I can't remember. It was in Carnaby Square, like behind where Brothers was, and that section,
that strip mall
there. And night shift, I went over there. I was the first one there, and I'm like, it was a plug that was, and something was hot over there. And I'm like, I'm getting ready. Fire department, don't you bust that up. It's going. Don't you give it no air.
Yeah, don't give it air.
I was like, oh, it'd probably blow me to the cemetery. Just I'm here. Just bury me there. But but experience and knowing what's going on, that's the key to that. Where I'm like, hey, there's a fire. I need to put that out, or I'm sure I have my fire extinguisher.
Yes, ready.
It's like I'm ready to go.
Tactical approach.
We're good with fire extinguishers.
Don't forget to keep 6 feet of separation.
But I've seen. I used to when I was in the Marines. They had that aircraft fire and rescue guys. Worked, I'd see them up at the PX or out at Chowha or something, and they were the best softball players in the world because all they did was play softball.
That's right.
And they would come in with their boots already unlaced and look like I was like, boy, I sure should have tried harder on my ass fast.
When I started at Lexington, at the airport, I'm like, because we're out there with the ARF trucks, working the joystick, the turning on the roof and stuff, fans blowing on you, air conditioned in the cab. I'm like, man, I said, this is what firefighting's all about. I said, that whole crawling around on your hands and knees in the ashes, that's Nathaniel, Lord,
that's silliness.
Yeah, sitting in the AC with the fan while you blow. This is the way to go.
They have to use the foam and stuff over there.
You got the foam and everything, so life's good.
That was the first place I ever heard that had fire and policing together. Now there's towns and stuff that have that.
Prestonsburg used to have public safety officers that carried fire gear in the trunks of the police cars and stuff, and I would hate to do it in a city or county environment.
There's little island towns and stuff off the coast and stuff that do that.
It would be cool though to be cross trained.
I don't know.
But now,
I'm not saying that I want to do it. But to be trained to do it, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
To know how to do it, not ever have to use it.
Goes back to those academy classes. You can't ever have enough academy. So
that's right. Maybe one day I'll go be a volunteer.
Just be a wealth of useless information.
I talked about this on the podcast. I know exactly what to do.
Exactly.
I got this.
We got it.
I tell you another fire that must have been funny when we were there. Remember the log cabin fire across from Gondoliers? Well, that was right in the middle of haunted house. So they shut haunted house down. So it must have been funny to watch a bunch of clowns and ghosts and all that walking in there.
Yeah.
And the bad part about it is I think they left they shut everything down at the haunted house. Lights, everything. And there was like 6 people in there, stuck in there. Could you imagine? And they're still in there. Yeah. And the night that the haunted house caught on fire, that was another good
I didn't
one.
know that.
Yeah, it caught on fire.
I know that slide at the haunted house. My daughter had some complaints on that. Said
That was
come off that sucker. And she said,
That'd be Chanel Reams' department. You have to file a complaint with her.
That one must have been a funny thing to watch us walk in there with face paint and everything else.
I never thought about that, but if y'all had to respond to something while that was going on,
it got shut down. I mean,
See, the houseboat factory that's where the college is now, when it burned, it was on Halloween, and I was with Bush Fire Department back then and put on a set of their proximity gear. So it's the aluminum covered gear, and so we've got the fire knocked down and everything, sitting there joking and smoking at the end, and they're like, "What the world are you wearing, Fuzz?" I said, "Listen, I'm the only original one here on Halloween because the rest of you dressed up as firemen." I said, "I'm dressed up as a tin man." So
you're out here looking like a baked potato.
Y'all copied each other. I don't know what you was thinking on this costume party.
That's awesome.
Fire's you guys are always, it don't matter how good we do. If police do something, and you know this from coming that side, there's always some kind of complaint or something.
Yeah.
You guys can burn it to the ground and, boys, y'all did a good job.
I'll try.
Thanks for trying.
They really tried hard.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I mean, we still joke, but here comes the heroes, guys. It's just jealousy. It is 100% jealousy.
I can't tell you how many videos I've been sent from Dylan Blair of him recording a fire truck going by and yelling, "Get 'em, brothers!"
Which Dylan Blair, I mean, he come out of the car seat, as a firefighter. I mean, with his dad.
I don't. It's the exact opposite. We don't get the "get 'em, brothers." It's more the "f you, brother." It happens. We do.
I don't know. There's some of those hot days when you're standing in that turnout gear and the police are sitting there in short sleeve shirts and pants, and you're like, maybe I might try that job.
If you're on blacktop though, our feet were on fire. Those core frames. Gosh!
So I would just go sit in my cruiser.
Well, Chance McPeak, he would ride with me every once and again, and it's July 4th weekend or something, and we're setting up. He's going to ride Saturday night or whatever.
He grew up in it too, man.
And he was an explorer. I mean, at the EMS and all that. So I mean, he's been exposed his entire life. I'm like, "Well, bring a jacket." He's like, "It's July 4th." I said, "I don't care. I don't want to listen to you whine all night. Bring a jacket." And so he gets in the car, and because my AC, it had to be on 110%.
Oh yeah, because you never cool off with a vest.
With the vest, I mean, there just ain't enough heat comes off of it, and the little V pattern J hose or whatever. I'm like, man, that would have been so nice to have back in the day.
One of them so many times.
You can't cool off. You can't warm up with them.
Yeah,
and they stink so bad.
Oh yeah,
there's a
unique odor.
That's why I was.
The only other place you can get that smell is at a football locker room.
Yeah.
It's just
When we finally went to outer carriers, I was like, "Oh, thank God," because you could
open that thing up,
get a breeze,
but fun. I don't know, fire, you guys, heroes.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
I think if I volunteer, I'm gonna volunteer up at Danville. They even have that.
They may start a program or something.
Yeah,
just for you.
Ride along.
It's like that poor little feller guy. He don't know nothing. It's funny.
We know some people up there. We'll throw in a word for you.
We get you in. Yeah.
I need to go back and visit. I gotta go talk to Andy. I gotta go.
Yeah.
How much? Hey, how much you think got to be some other fire guys up there that would talk to us too. I'm sure.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's see what we're going to.
Well, you know firefighters. You know how they are.
Yeah, I mean it's
If
Well,
you
we
don't
need to
know
go
they're
to
a
a
firefighter
firehouse.
within 5 seconds of the conversation.
yeah, that,
But we need to do this at the firehouse because they will feed us really
yeah,
well.
yeah. There's
Yes.
food you're going to be involved. I mean that's
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I'm catching all my firefighting stuff is coming from, just you guys from a distance and like,
Yeah.
hey, you're awesome. And I've been watching Tacoma now, FD on Netflix.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's exactly. It's a little bit more. But
Yes.
that's it.
Yes.
I was telling my son, I was like, that's exactly how first
Firehouse
responder-
life.
Yeah, that is it.
Yeah.
The shenanigans and,
Yes.
the pranking
Yeah.
and the. I said, yeah, of course they go over the top on some stuff. It'd
Yeah.
be funny, but I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They've nailed that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and it's
yeah.
not
I'm a
real
regular
far
watcher
away
of the
from.
Tacoma FD.
Oh, yeah.
It's not. Fire and police are very similar when it comes to the pranks and the goofiness that we.
Well,
that
it's
we
the
carry
same
of
type
each
of
other.
personalities.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the same. I mean,
It's an alpha. It's an alpha
It is.
person
Yeah,
to
it
be
Yeah.
an emergency responder.
Yes.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
You're used to taking control of a scene.
And that whole saying of play or work hard, play harder is definitely definitely true.
Yes.
I agree.
It's we have a very interesting gentleman we could probably send your way. He is a fireman and he's also planning a run for governor.
Huh?
Yeah.
We'll be there.
We could probably get him to come down here and talk to you.
Now we're coming up.
Okay, yeah.
So the plan is, I'd love to go up there. I want to do Todd, and I want to do Andy, and I want to do Merle from the police department.
Yeah.
I want to come in the firehouse and
Yeah.
just chill.
Yeah.
And just see what's going on.
Oh, we
Yes.
could do a little round table discussion. Yeah.
That'd be fun. We can do it.
Yeah, definitely. We can get you some good people.
Absolutely.
Very
What-
entertaining stories.
Y'all got anything else, or we're going to cut her down? Because I don't know how long we're supposed to go.
We just wing it at this point.
Yeah,
We
it's-
don't- yeah.
Since we're having fun.
Surely you've got enough to fill a block.
Or a couple.
Or a
That's the goal.
Yeah.
So,
We were a 2-part story. That's all. We were 2 parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm glad you came.
Yeah. This is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a surprise last week when Joey came in. When Jake came in, he was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
So then
Somebody had to keep Joey restrained.
So I mentioned bring, but I didn't know if you would or not.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
good. I'm glad.
Yeah. I'm
So
glad
what-
I came. This is
Yeah.
awesome. This is
I've
great.
enjoyed it. Much respect to you guys.
Yeah,
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry about your next shift because it's going to be awful.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad.
What time do y'all start?
7 in the morning.
About
Yep.
7:30. I'll call and say it's awful quiet.
Yeah. Use that Q word.
I ain't heard nothing from them. It's kind of quiet out here. Every old building. Listen, Danville's maybe the oldest. I don't think it's the oldest town in London, but it's up there, and
Yeah.
everything's because I look at real estate
There's a
up
lot of
there.
historic.
It's
And everything's
Yes.
like built in 1814.
pre-Civil War. Yeah.
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 So I mean, I'm like,
It's awesome.
it's a very good town. Y'all are blessed to be there for sure.
Yeah.
So
It's definitely a cool little city. I mean,
is.
the people are great.
Yeah.
It's a nice place to.
that they are truly pro fire and pro police.
Very
in that
much.
town.
Very
and that's
much.
what I appreciated about it so
Yeah.
much. So they really have your back up there. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll end it there.
Yep. All right.
It's been fun.
Guys, thank you all.
Enjoyed it. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. All right. Catch us on the next one.